What if the storm inside you, the relentless turning of the anxious mind, was not a malfunction? What if the constant hum of unease, the tightness in your chest, the scenarios that play out in the dark of night, were not a sign that you are broken? Society has taught you to fear this internal weather, to silence it, to numb it, to declare war on it with every tool at your disposal. You have been told that peace is the absence of this storm. But what if that is the great lie that keeps you trapped within it? What if the storm itself is a messenger, knocking at the door of your awareness, not to torment you, but to deliver a message of profound importance from a part of yourself you have long forgotten? There is a noise in the modern world, a frantic race towards a finish line that is always moving. We are taught to build our lives on the outside, to collect, to achieve, to display, and yet, there is a growing emptiness in the halls we have built, a spiritual hunger that no amount of external success can feed. The anxiety you feel is perhaps a sane reaction to this disconnection. It is the soul's rebellion against the superficial. It is a sacred ache, a calling to turn your gaze away from the flickering screens and endless distractions, and to look inward into the vast, uncharted territory of the self. This journey we are about to embark upon is not a list of 7 ways to feel better. It is not a temporary balm. It is an excavation. It is an invitation to become an alchemist of your own consciousness, to learn the ancient language of your own energy. We will not be placing a bandage on the wound. We will be following the wound inward to its source and discovering that at its very core is not a flaw, but a gateway to a deeper reality, a more authentic way of being. We will learn to quiet the mind not by force, but by understanding. We will learn to reprogram our emotional responses, not by suppressing them, but by meeting them with a calm, unwavering presence. This is not about fighting the darkness. It is about remembering that you are the light that illuminates it. Prepare to enter the quiet space behind the noise, to access the ancient map written into your very cells. This is not a war. This is a homecoming. Let us begin here, in the chaos, in the noise. Before we seek silence, we must first become acquainted with the sound that is your constant companion, a symphony of static. It is the background music of the modern soul, a frantic, crackling broadcast that seems to have no source and no off switch. It is the hiss of what-ifs, the pop and crackle of past regrets, the fragmented voices of 1,000 imagined futures, all playing at once. It is the hum of a task left undone, the sharp frequency of a word you wish you could take back, the low, persistent drone of not being good enough, not safe enough, not there yet. You know this sound intimately. You wake up to it. It walks with you through your day, a phantom orchestra playing a song of dread. It lies down with you at night, turning the sacred space of your bed into a theater of worry. For years, your relationship with this symphony has been one of war. Your immediate, conditioned reflex is to fight it. When the static rises, you frantically twist the dial of your mind, desperate for a clear channel. You turn to distraction, flooding your senses with more noise from the outside world, hoping to drown out the noise from within. You scroll, you work, you binge, you run, anything to outrun the broadcast. You might try to reason with it, entering into a debate with the voices of fear, using logic as a weapon against the illogical. You build arguments. You present evidence for why you should be calm, why your fears are unfounded. Yet, the static seems to feed on your arguments, growing louder with every attempt to dismantle it. You might try to force it into silence, using the brute force of your will. You grit your teeth and command yourself, stop thinking about it, be quiet, be peaceful. But telling the mind not to think of a thing is like telling a child not to look at the one red button in a room full of white ones. The very act of forbidding it makes it the center of the universe. This war is exhausting. It is the deep, soul-level weariness that so many of us feel. It is not the tiredness from a hard day's work, but the friction of a mind at war with itself. Every ounce of energy you spend fighting the static resisting the noise, judging the anxiety, is an ounce of life force drained away from you. This battle is unwinnable because the very premise of the battle is flawed. You are trying to use a part of the mind to defeat another part of the mind. You are trying to use static to eliminate static. The fundamental truth you have not yet been shown is this: your resistance is the amplifier. The energy of your struggle is the very thing that powers the broadcast. The fear of the static is what makes it so terrifying. You are not a victim of the noise. You are its unwilling collaborator, its unwitting power source. Your desperate need for the music to stop is what keeps the orchestra playing through the night. Imagine holding a wild bird in your hands. The more you squeeze, the more it struggles. The more it struggles, the more you tighten your grip, afraid it will escape. The bird and your hand both become bruised and tired in this desperate dance. The only way to calm the bird is to relax your grip, to create a safe space for it to be. The same is true for your mind. So now, I invite you to try something radical. Something that will feel counterintuitive, perhaps even foolish to the part of your mind that has been a warrior for so long. Just for this moment, lay down your weapons. Call a truce in the war against yourself. Stop trying to turn the dial. Stop trying to find a better station. Stop wanting the noise to be anything other than what it is. And just listen. Don't listen in order to analyze. Don't listen in order to fix. Simply allow the symphony of static to be. Offer it the space of your awareness. Imagine your consciousness is not the radio itself, but the room in which the radio is playing. The room does not judge the sound. The room does not try to change the sound. The room simply holds the sound. Can you be the room for your own mind? Let the hiss of anxiety be there. Let the low hum of dread vibrate in the space. Let the frantic, fearful thoughts chatter away without you needing to correct them, engage with them, or believe them. Notice the primal urge to fight, to flee, to fix. See that urge itself as just another layer of sound in the symphony. Watch it rise and let it go. This is not apathy. This is not defeat. This is a higher form of intelligence. It is the wisdom of allowing. By ceasing the struggle, you cease to provide the fuel. By allowing the noise to be there, you rob it of its power over you. Its power was never in the noise itself, but in your desperate reaction to it. You are taking your hands off the wild bird, and for the first time you are creating the possibility of peace. As you sit in this space of allowing, begin to notice the texture of the static. Become a connoisseur of your own inner noise. Is it a high-pitched frequency of worry located in your head? Is it a heavy, dense vibration of sadness in your chest? Is it a chaotic, jumpy energy that moves through your whole body? Notice the recurring themes, the familiar voices. There is probably a lead vocalist in this symphony, a core belief that sings the loudest. Perhaps it's the voice of unworthiness, the voice of impending doom, the voice of not being safe. You don't need to do anything about these voices. Just notice them. Ah, there is that one again, the fear of failure. I hear you. By naming it without judgment, you are gently separating yourself from it. You are moving from being the singer of the anxious song to being the audience. The song has not stopped yet, but for the first time you realize you are not the song. This is the first step. The very first, most crucial step on this journey. It is the art of acknowledging what is, without adding a layer of resistance. You are learning to sit in the fire of discomfort without getting burned. You are discovering that the heat you thought would annihilate you is bearable. You have not silenced the symphony of static, not yet. But you have changed your relationship to it forever. It is no longer an invading army. It is just weather. It is just sound passing through the vast, silent room of your being. You have withdrawn your energy from the fight, and in doing so, you have taken the first step toward reclaiming your power. You have stopped trying to break the radio. You have simply sat down to listen. And now, having truly listened to the quality of this static for the first time, a new question can emerge. Is this chaotic noise truly meaningless? or is it a signal in disguise? Is this a random malfunction, or is it a broadcast from a hidden messenger trying to get your attention? You have sat in the room and allowed the static to be. You have ceased the war, and in the quiet truce, you have noticed that the noise is not just a meaningless hum. It has a texture, a rhythm, a character. Now, we take the next step. We move from passive allowance to active, gentle inquiry. We are about to radically redefine this experience you have labeled anxiety. We are going to treat it not as an affliction, but as a form of communication. Imagine you are asleep in the deep of the night, in a house you believe to be secure. Suddenly, you are jolted awake by a loud, insistent knocking at your front door. 1, 2, 3 sharp raps that echo through the silent house. Your heart leaps into your throat, your breath catches. Your body floods with adrenaline, every muscle tensing for a threat. The night is dark, the visitor is unknown. Your mind, a masterful protector, immediately assumes the worst. It is an intruder. It is danger. It is something that has come to take from you, to harm you. This visceral, primal reaction is precisely how you have learned to meet the feeling of anxiety when it knocks on the door of your consciousness. Your learned response to this midnight knocking has been to barricade yourself in. You pull the covers over your head, pretending not to hear it. This is denial. You turn on the television. You scroll through your phone. You immerse yourself in work, hoping the external noise will drown out the insistent knocking from within. This is distraction. You might even shout at the door, "Go away, there's no one here for you." This is suppression, the forceful attempt to banish the feeling. You add more locks to the door, more bolts. You check them obsessively. These locks are your coping mechanisms, your safety behaviors, the little rituals you perform to keep the perceived danger at bay. And in the short term, they may seem to work. The knocking might fade for a while, but you are not at peace. You are a prisoner in your own home, constantly vigilant, always listening for the next knock, living in a state of siege. The house that was meant to be your sanctuary has become a fortress of fear. The energy it takes to maintain this siege, to constantly be on guard against your own inner experience, is immense. It is the source of the deep exhaustion you feel. What would happen if you did something different? What if, when the knocking comes, you took a single, conscious breath? Not to be brave, not to be a hero, but simply to create a sliver of space between the stimulus and your reaction. In that space, a new choice becomes available. You don't have to throw the door open. That would be too much to ask. But what if you could quiet your own internal screaming just long enough to creep out of bed, tiptoe to the door, and look through the peephole? This is the act of mindful curiosity. You are turning towards the fear, not to confront it, but simply to see it more clearly. And what do you see when you look? It is not the slavering monster your mind had painted. It is a figure cloaked in shadow, true, but the figure is not trying to break the door down. They are simply standing there, waiting, and in their hand, they are holding a letter. This changes everything. The visitor is not an intruder. The visitor is a messenger. The entire event is recontextualized. The fear was born from the assumption of malice, an assumption you never paused to question. Now, you see that its purpose is not to harm, but to deliver. The anxiety, this feeling you have loathed and fled from your entire life, is a messenger from the deepest part of your being, from your soul, from the universe itself. It has come, often in the dark when your waking defenses are down, because it carries a message so vital that it cannot be ignored. And it will keep knocking, louder and more insistently, until you acknowledge its presence and accept the letter it carries. The tragedy is that we spend our lives barricading the door against the very information that holds the key to our own freedom. So what is written in this urgent letter? The messages vary, but they often fall into several universal categories. Sometimes, the messenger brings a warning of misalignment. It is telling you that the life you are living is out of sync with your true nature. The job you are in is crushing your spirit. The relationship you are clinging to is violating your core values. The path you are on is not your own, but one that was chosen for you by family or society. The anxiety is the sound of your soul scraping against the confines of a life that is too small for it. It is a loving, urgent plea to change course before you drift too far from your own truth. At other times, the messenger arrives on behalf of an unmet need. It is often a voice from your own past, from a younger part of you that was not seen, not heard, or not made to feel safe. Some event in your present life has triggered this old wound, and the anxiety is the cry of that inner child, begging for the attention and healing it never received. It knocks on the door to say, "Remember me? I am still here. I am scared. I need you, the adult, to finally come and rescue me." To see this anxiety not as a personal failing, but as a chance to reparent yourself with compassion is a profound shift in perspective. And very often, the messenger comes to alert you of a limiting belief. You are approaching an invisible wall in your own mind, a belief you hold so deeply that you don't even know it is there. I am not worthy of love. I will always be abandoned. I am not capable of success. As you grow and your potential expands, you begin to push against the boundaries of this self-imposed prison. The anxiety is the alarm system of that prison, trying to scare you back into your small, familiar cell. The messenger is knocking to say, the wall you feel is an illusion. The story you believe is false. It is time to see the prison for what it is and walk free. To receive the letter, you do not need to perform some grand, heroic act. You simply need to change the question. When the knocking begins, when you feel that familiar tightening in your chest, your practice now is to take that single conscious breath and whisper internally, "You are a messenger. I am willing to listen. What are you here to show me?" You shift from "go away" to "what is the message?" You move from resistance to reception. This act alone is a profound alchemy. It transforms the energy of the entire experience. You are no longer a victim cowering in the dark. You are a wise homeowner, a sovereign of your own inner world, calmly attending to a visitor. The fear cannot survive in the atmosphere of genuine curiosity. The messenger does not need to shout when it knows it is being heard. It can deliver its message and depart in peace. Now that you understand there is a message waiting, we must learn to decipher its unique and often cryptic language. For this messenger from the dark very rarely speaks of the past or the present. It is a creature of the future. It speaks in the language of what if. We have met the messenger. We have found the courage to peek through the keyhole and see that the visitor is not a monster, but a carrier of a letter. Now, we must learn to read the letter's contents, and we will find it is written in a strange and powerful language, a dialect of dread, a grammar of fear. The messenger speaks almost exclusively in one tense, the future conditional. It is the language of what if. This is the engine of anxiety. This is the mechanism that drains the life from your present moment and pours it into 1,000 phantom futures. Your mind, in its attempt to protect you, has become a faulty navigational instrument. It is a compass that has lost its true north. Instead of pointing to the steady, reliable reality of the now, its needle spins wildly, drawn only to imaginary dangers on the horizon. It points to islands that do not exist, the Isle of Failure, the continent of humiliation, the archipelago of abandonment. And you, a faithful sailor, have been mistaking its frantic spinning for guidance. You have been steering your life by the tremors of a broken needle. This is the tyranny of the what if. It is a subtle and insidious form of rule. It does not command you with a loud voice. It enslaves you with a whisper. It is a phantom architect, building elaborate prisons of possibility in the spaciousness of your mind. It takes a single tiny seed of doubt, a strange look from your boss, a cough in your child's throat, a moment of silence from your partner, and it cultivates that seed with breathtaking speed. It waters it with your fear. fertilizes it with your past traumas, and shines a hot, intense light of focus upon it until it grows into a towering, thorny tree of catastrophe. Your mind, in these moments, is a master storyteller, a hypnotist of the highest order. It creates a future so vivid, so detailed, so emotionally charged that it feels more real than the chair you are sitting on, more substantial than the floor beneath your feet. You are no longer in your room. You are in that disastrous future meeting. You are no longer safe in your home. You are in that sterile doctor's office, receiving the worst possible news. You feel the shame, the panic, the grief of an event that has not happened and will likely never happen, as if it were your lived reality. The price of this servitude is the only thing you truly have, your life as it unfolds, moment by moment. The present is the only point of contact with reality. It is the only place where joy can be felt, where peace can be experienced, where love can be given and received. But the tyrant of what if is a thief that steals the present from you. It convinces you that it is wise to sacrifice the certain reality of today for the imagined tragedy of tomorrow. It's the ultimate bad bargain. You give up the feeling of the sun on your skin now for the rehearsal of a storm that may never come. You forfeit the taste of your food now for the imagined bitterness of a future loss. You miss the sound of a loved one's laughter now because you are listening to the faint, imagined sound of a future door closing. The tyrant promises that this constant rehearsal of disaster is a form of protection. If you suffer it enough in your mind, it whispers, you will be prepared when it actually happens. But this is a cruel deception. You do not become prepared. You become perpetually pre-traumatized. You are a ghost haunting the hallways of your own life, your body moving through the motions of the present while your consciousness is shackled to a phantom future. How do you depose a tyrant made of smoke? How do you fight an enemy whose only substance is your own belief in it? You do not fight it. To fight it is to make it real. To argue with it is to validate its premise. You overthrow this tyrant not with force, but with a quiet and radical shift of awareness. You begin by gently questioning its authority. When the story begins, when the mental movie starts to play, you introduce a simple, non-confrontational inquiry. You ask, is this true right now? In this room, at this moment, am I actually being fired? In this breath, am I actually sick? In this second, am I actually alone? The answer, almost invariably, is no. The story is happening in the imaginary realm of the mind, not the tangible reality of the present. This question acts like a pinprick to the balloon of fear. Next, you can change your relationship to the story itself. Instead of seeing the what if as a prophecy, see it as a testament to the immense creative power of your mind. You can observe it and think, wow, my mind is so powerful that it can create an entire world out of a single thought. It can generate feelings, physical sensations, and a full narrative arc from nothing. When you see it as a creative act, you are no longer its victim, you are the artist. And if you have the creative power to paint a masterpiece of doom, you inherently have the same power to paint a masterpiece of peace. This realization begins to return a sense of agency to you. You are not at the mercy of a malfunctioning brain. You are the wielder of an incredibly potent creative tool that has simply been misused. Then, you can challenge the game itself by exposing its bias. The what-if game is always rigged to the negative, so you introduce a gentle counter-question. When the mind asks, what if I fail the presentation and everyone thinks I'm an idiot? You can let that thought pass, and then softly ask, but what if I do well? What if I connect with the audience and they appreciate my work? When the mind asks, what if this pain in my side is something terrible? You can allow it and then ask, but what if it's just a pulled muscle that will heal on its own? This is not about forcing positive thinking. It is about revealing the tyrant's one-sided nature. It exposes the fact that the mind has arbitrarily chosen the worst-case scenario and presented it as the only possible outcome. By simply introducing an alternative possibility, You break the hypnotic spell. You show yourself that the future is not a fixed destination of doom, but an open field of infinite potentials. The first act of liberation is simply to notice, to catch the tyrant in the act. The moment you can observe your own mind and say, "Ah, there it is. The what-if story has begun." You have achieved a momentous victory. In that moment of noticing, you have created a space between the storyteller and the listener. You have stepped out of the movie screen and back into your seat as the audience. You are no longer the terrified character running from the monster. You are the calm, aware presence watching the film, knowing that it is just a projection of light and shadow. The tyrant's power dissolves under the light of your awareness. It thrives in the dark when you are unconsciously identified with its stories. It cannot survive being seen. We have now seen the tyrant's game. It works by convincing you to abandon the real for the imaginary. It pulls you out of your body, out of your senses, out of the sacred and singular moment of now, and exiles you to a land of ghosts and shadows. Therefore, the most potent antidote, the true north for your compass, must lie in a radical return to what is real. To escape the tyranny of the mind, we must find refuge in the wisdom of the body. We must find a way to drop anchor out of the storm of thought and into the calm, deep waters of the senses. The tyranny of what if is a phantom king ruling a phantom kingdom. Its power seems immense, but it is entirely dependent on one thing: your willingness to leave the real world and live in its imaginary one. It exiles you from the tangible sensory reality of your life and holds you captive in the cold, abstract realm of thought. The antidote, therefore, cannot be a better thought or a more clever argument. The antidote must be a homecoming, a radical return to the only place you ever truly exist, the only ground that is ever solid beneath your feet, your own body, in this present moment. We must learn to drop anchor. Imagine your mind is a raging ocean, with waves of fear and worry crashing over the deck of your awareness. You have been trying to calm this ocean, a futile and exhausting task. The secret is not to calm the ocean, but to anchor your ship so deeply that the waves can no longer throw you about. This anchor is not something you need to acquire. You were born with it. It is your own sensory body. For most of us, the body has become a forgotten kingdom. We live in our heads, disconnected, treating our physical form like a taxi for the brain. It is something to be fueled when it's empty, repaired when it's broken, and otherwise largely ignored unless it causes us pain. We see it as a source of problems. It gets sick, it ages, it betrays us. But this is a profound misunderstanding. Your body is not a machine. It is a sacred vessel of living intelligence. It is a landscape of reality. It does not know how to lie. It cannot travel to the imaginary future of what if. It exists only and always in the absolute reality of now. To be fully in your body is to be fully in the present moment. And to be fully in the present moment is to be outside the jurisdiction of anxiety. Anxiety is a ghost that cannot survive in the direct sunlight of sensory awareness. The homecoming journey is the journey from the head to the body. Let us drop anchor together right now. This is not an exercise to be perfected, but an act of grace to be received. Wherever you are, bring your attention gently downward, through your body, all the way to the soles of your feet. Without wiggling your toes or moving at all, simply feel the sensation of your feet. Notice the points of contact with whatever they are touching. Feel the texture of your socks or shoes. Notice the firm, solid pressure of the floor or the earth beneath you. Allow yourself to truly feel the sensation of being held. The planet, this great body of Earth, is holding you. It has held you every second of your life, without fail. You are supported. Let the simple, undeniable reality of that physical support be the first loop of the anchor chain. Feel the weight of your own body, the force of gravity that proves your existence here, now. The mind can doubt your worth, your future, your sanity, but it cannot doubt the feeling of your feet on the ground. Now, Bring your awareness to the rhythm of your breath. Do not try to change it. Do not force a deep, meditative breath. Simply observe the breath as it is. Notice the sensation of the air entering your nostrils. Perhaps it feels slightly cooler than the air leaving. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest or your abdomen. Each breath is a wave, an inhalation and an exhalation. This rhythm has been with you from the moment of your birth to this very second. It is the most reliable, constant motion in your life. It is the pulse of life itself moving through you. Rest your attention on this gentle, oceanic movement. When a thought of what if arises, simply acknowledge it, and then gently guide your focus back to the physical sensation of the next breath. The breath is the sound of the present moment. It is the ultimate anchor point in the storm. It is always here, it is always now. From the breath, expand your awareness outward to the sense of hearing. Just for a moment, let go of the internal chatter and simply listen to the world around you. Receive the sounds of your environment as pure vibration, without needing to label them or judge them. Perhaps there is the distant hum of traffic, the drone of a refrigerator, the chirping of a bird outside your window, or the subtle sound of the air moving in the room. Don't strain to hear. Simply open your awareness and let the sounds come to you. Notice how each sound is happening right now. It is not a memory. It is not a future possibility. It is a present moment event. By resting in the soundscape of the now, you are pulling your energy, your focus, out of the imaginary soundscape of anxiety. You are anchoring yourself in the symphony of the real. Now, allow your eyes to participate. Let them rest softly on something in your field of vision. You don't need to stare. Just choose one object and see it as if for the first time. Notice its color, its texture, the way the light falls upon it. Perhaps it is a cup on your table. See its shape, its curve, the shadow it casts. Don't think cup. Just see the form, the light, the color. Let your sense of sight be a refuge from the mental movies produced by the tyrant. The what if creates complex, terrifying images in the cinema of your mind. You counter this not by creating better images, but by returning to the simple, humble, undeniable reality of what your physical eyes can actually see in this moment. There is a profound peace in the simplicity of seeing a flower, a wood grain, a speck of dust dancing in a sunbeam. It is the peace of reality. This is the nature of the anchor. It does not make the storm go away. A ship anchored in a hurricane is still in a hurricane. The winds still howl, the waves still crash. But the ship is no longer at their mercy. It is held fast to the stable ground beneath the chaos. Dropping anchor into your senses does not instantly silence the anxious mind. The thoughts of what if may still howl. The feelings of fear may still crash against you, but you are no longer lost at sea. You are no longer being tossed into the abyss. You have found your ground. You have a refuge. You have a place to rest your awareness that is solid, real, and true. And you begin to realize that you are not the storm, you are the ship. And you have the power to be the captain who knows when and how to drop the anchor. This is your practice. This is your escape route from the prison of projection. It is available to you in every single moment. Standing in line at the grocery store, feel your feet on the floor. Sitting in a stressful meeting, feel the breath moving in your body. Lying in bed at night, listen to the sounds of the house. This is not just a technique for panic. It is a way of life. It is the practice of inhabiting your life as it happens, not as you fear it might happen. Each time you consciously drop anchor into your senses, you are strengthening a neural pathway. You are building a new habit. You are carving a riverbed of peace in the landscape of your mind. You are training yourself to come home. And now that you have come home, now that you are anchored in the quiet stability of your own body, you have created the perfect vantage point. From this steady ship, you can begin to watch the weather of your mind with the calm, detached wisdom of a seasoned sailor. You are ready to meet the observer. You are anchored. Your ship is steady in the turbulent waters of the mind, held fast by the weight of your own present moment, sensory reality. From this place of stability, a new capacity can emerge. The capacity not just to feel, but to watch, to observe. This marks the beginning of the most profound shift in consciousness a human being can experience. It is the discovery that you are not one thing, but two. There is the part of you that thinks, feels, and experiences, and there is a part of you that is aware of the thinking, the feeling, the experiencing. For your entire life, you have been utterly identified with the former. You have believed yourself to be the thoughts in your head and the emotions in your body. Today, you are invited to get acquainted with the latter, the silent, mysterious, and infinitely peaceful watcher within. Imagine your thoughts and emotions are clouds in the sky. On some days, the clouds are white and puffy and sparse, drifting lazily by. On other days, they are dark, heavy, and tumultuous, covering the entire expanse in a blanket of gray. You have spent your life believing that you are these clouds. When a dark cloud of sadness appeared, you said, "I am sad." When a turbulent storm cloud of anger raged, you said, "I am angry." You have been so focused on the ever-changing weather patterns of your mind that you have forgotten the most fundamental and obvious truth of your own being. You are not the clouds. You are the sky. You are the vast, open, limitless expanse of awareness in which the clouds of thought and emotion appear, drift, and dissolve. The sky does not cling to the white clouds. It does not fight the dark clouds. It is not damaged by the storm. It is the silent, unaffected, ever-present space that allows the weather to be what it is. The root of all psychological suffering is a case of mistaken identity. It is the unconscious fusion of your sense of I with the ceaseless stream of mental and emotional activity. This fusion is the ego's primary function. It creates a me, a self, out of the transient phenomena of the mind. A thought, on its own, is a harmless flicker of energy, a neurological impulse. It has no inherent power. But when you unconsciously fuse with it, when the thought, "I'm not good enough," arises, and you accept it as a statement of fact about your very being, that harmless flicker becomes a branding iron, searing your soul. A feeling of anxiety is just a pattern of sensation in the body. But when you fuse with it, when you believe that I am anxious, it becomes your identity, your reality, your prison. You have mistaken the temporary content of your mind for the timeless container of your consciousness. Let us make this discovery experiential right now. It is simpler than you think. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or simply soften your gaze. Notice a thought that is currently in your mind. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a thought about this recording, a memory from yesterday, a plan for tomorrow. Just acknowledge the first thought that you can recognize. Now, here is the great question. Who is aware of that thought? There is the thought itself, and then there is the awareness of the thought. The thought is an object, a phenomenon that has appeared. But you are the subject. You are the one who is noticing it. Are you the thought itself, or are you the space in which the thought is noticed? Take a moment. Can you sense this separation? You are the awareness that sees the thought. Let's try it with a feeling. Bring your attention into your body and notice any sensation or emotion that is present. It may be calmness, restlessness, warmth, tension, anything at all. Just identify a feeling. Now, ask the same question. Who is aware of this feeling? There is the feeling, the vibration, the sensation in your body, and then there is the awareness that perceives it. Are you the tension in your shoulders, or are you the silent awareness that knows there is tension in the shoulders? The feeling is a temporary event. The awareness that knows the feeling is constant. This awareness is the observer. This is the sky. It has no form, no name, no agenda. It is silent. It is still. It is deeply, unshakably peaceful. It is the essence of who you are, behind the mask of your personality and the noise of your mind. Let's explore this with another metaphor. Imagine you are sitting peacefully on a green, sunlit hill. Below you is a busy, multi-lane highway. The cars, trucks, and motorcycles on this highway are your thoughts and emotions. This is the stream of consciousness. For your whole life, you have been down on that highway, believing you are one of the cars. You have been caught in traffic jams of rumination. You have been crashing into other cars in moments of conflict. You have been frantically honking your horn in states of panic, desperately trying to get somewhere, to escape the chaos. To discover the observer is to realize, in a flash of insight, that you are not the car. You have never been the car. You are the one sitting peacefully on the hill, watching the traffic go by. From this vantage point on the hill, your entire perspective changes. You see a red sports car of anger speed past. You simply watch it. You don't have to jump in and drive it. You see a slow, heavy truck of sadness lumbering along in the right lane. You observe it with gentle compassion. You don't have to pull it over or try to fix it. You see the endless stream of ordinary gray sedans of mundane daily thoughts, what to eat, what to do next, what someone said. They lose their personal charge. They are no longer your thoughts. They are just thoughts. Traffic on the highway. From the hill, you are safe. You are detached. You have perspective. You realize you are not responsible for the traffic. It arises from causes and conditions beyond your control. Your only job is to remain on the hill, in the seat of the observer, and watch the flow. The peace you are seeking is not on the highway. It is not found by finding a road with no cars. The peace you are seeking is on the hill. It is here, right now. It is your natural state. This observing self, this presence on the hill, is your true nature. It is unchanging. The traffic of your life is in constant flux. Your thoughts, your emotions, your body, your relationships, your circumstances, they all change, like the weather. But the awareness that witnesses it all has never changed. The awareness that is looking through your eyes now is the same awareness that looked through your eyes when you were a small child. It is timeless. It is whole. It needs nothing to be complete. To identify with this awareness is to find a foundation of inner peace that cannot be shaken by the events of your life. The practice then is simple. Again and again, whenever you remember, return to the hill. Step out of the traffic of your mind and take your seat as the silent, watchful presence. You are the sky, not the cloud. You are the observer on the hill, not the traffic on the highway. This is the beginning of all spiritual freedom. This is the source of the inner fortress. Now that you have found this place of quiet observation, this stable vantage point, you can look down upon the highway of your experience with a new clarity. You can begin to investigate the connection between the traffic of the mind and the landscape of your physical being. You can start to see, with piercing insight, how every car on that road sends a vibration, a message, into the kingdom of your body. You are ready to decode its language. You are on the hill, resting in the quiet authority of the observer. The frantic traffic of your thoughts and feelings moves along the highway below, and for the first time, you are not swept away by it. You have found a space of stillness within. From this stable vantage point, you can now perceive something you were too busy to notice before. Every single vehicle that passes on that highway, every thought, every memory, every emotion sends a subtle tremor through the ground beneath you. A fast, angry thought might send a sharp, hot jolt. A heavy, sad memory might create a slow, dense vibration. A light, happy feeling might send a warm, pleasant hum. This ground, this earth you are sitting upon, is your body. Your body is the resonant chamber of your mind. It is the ultimate truth teller, the sacred manuscript upon which every single one of your experiences, processed or unprocessed, is meticulously recorded. You have, in essence, two minds. The first is the cognitive mind, the thinking mind that you are so familiar with. It lives in your head, speaks in words, and is a master of argument, rationalization, and, most importantly, self-deception. It can convince you that you are fine when you are not. It can build elaborate justifications for staying in situations that are harming you. It can spin stories to avoid uncomfortable truths. But then there is the second mind, the somatic mind, the mind of the body. This mind does not speak in words. It speaks in the pure, unmistakable language of physical sensation. It speaks in tightness, in openness, in warmth, in coldness, in aches, in vibrations, in emptiness. And this second mind does not know how to lie. When your cognitive mind is saying, "Everything is fine, I'm not stressed," your somatic mind tells the truth through your clenched jaw, your shallow breathing, and the tight knot in your stomach. We have been taught to listen only to the first mind, while ignoring, silencing, or even resenting the profound wisdom of the second. Our journey now is to become fluent in the native tongue of the body. It is to learn to read the sacred text of our own physical being, a text that holds the keys to our deepest healing and liberation. Why have we become so deaf to this language? This disconnection is not a personal failure. It is a learned survival skill that has outlived its usefulness. As a child, your capacity to process overwhelming emotions was limited. When fear, grief, or shame became too intense to bear, you discovered an ingenious escape route. You learned to leave the body, where the raw, terrifying sensations were happening, and retreat into the abstract world of the head. You learned to dissociate, to numb, to live from the neck up, because it felt safer there. This was a brilliant strategy. It protected your fragile nervous system from being completely overwhelmed. It allowed you to survive. But as an adult, this same strategy becomes a prison. The unprocessed emotions that you escaped from did not simply vanish. They remained trapped in the body's tissues, frozen in time, stored as chronic tension in your shoulders, as a permanent knot in your gut, as an ache in your heart. Now, when new life events trigger these old feelings, the body tries to speak, to finally process and release the stored energy. But the old habit of numbing and ignoring kicks in, and the cycle continues. The messenger is silenced, and the undelivered messages fester within. To heal is to have the courage to reverse this process. It is to gently, safely, and lovingly return your awareness to the forgotten kingdom of the body, and finally listen to the stories it has been waiting so long to tell. Let us begin this process of translation. We will embark on a gentle archaeological dig into the landscape of your physical form. This is not a search for what is wrong. It is a process of discovery, of illumination. Bring your awareness, as soft as a feather duster brushing away the sands of time, to the soles of your feet. Without judgment, simply notice what is there to be noticed. Is there warmth, coolness, a tingling sensation, a feeling of numbness, a sense of being firmly planted, or a restless energy that wants to move? There are no right or wrong answers. There is only what is. You are simply reading the first sentence on the first page of this manuscript. Now, allow that gentle awareness to travel up into your legs, your calves and thighs. Do you feel strength and stability, or weakness and shakiness? Is there tension in the muscles, or a sense of ease? Your legs carry you through the world. They are your connection to the earth and your power to move forward. Simply notice the story they are telling through sensation. Gently bring your awareness into the bowl of your pelvis, your hips, and your lower back. This area is often a deep repository for stored emotional energy, particularly feelings of fear, shame, and a lack of safety or support. Do not try to analyze, just feel. Is there a sense of density, of hardness, of being locked up? Or is there a feeling of fluidity, of openness, of ease? Notice any tension in your glutes or a deep ache in your lower back. Just notice. You are the archaeologist, observing the artifact with profound respect, knowing it holds a deep history. Now, let your awareness drift upward into your stomach and your solar plexus. This is the seat of your instinct, your gut feelings, your personal power. This is often where the raw energy of fear and anxiety makes itself known. What do you feel here? Is it a tight, nervous knot, a fluttering sensation like butterflies, a heavy leaden feeling, a nauseous churning, or does it feel calm, open, and settled? Again, just read the sensations as they are, without needing them to be different. This is the language of your intuition, speaking to you directly. Let your soft focus rise now into your chest, the space around your heart and lungs. This is the center of connection, of love, of grief, of joy. Place a gentle hand here, if it feels right. What is the quality of sensation in your heart center? Is there a feeling of tightness, as if a band is wrapped around your chest? Is there a physical ache, the signature of grief or longing? Is there a radiant warmth, a feeling of expansion and openness? Or does it feel numb, hollow, or shut down, like a fortress protecting a vulnerable core? Notice your breathing. Is it shallow, caught high in the chest, or is it deep and relaxed, filling your belly? Your breath is a direct indicator of your state of safety and trust. Now, allow your awareness to rest upon your shoulders, your neck, and your throat. This is where we physically carry our burdens, our responsibilities, the weight of the world. Feel the muscles here. Is there tension, hardness, a collection of knots? Does it feel like you are perpetually braced for an impact? Move to your throat. Does it feel open and clear, or constricted and tight, as if words are being held back? Finally, bring your awareness to your jaw, your face, and your head. Are you clenching your jaw without realizing it? Is your brow furrowed in a state of constant concern? Is there a band of pressure around your head? These are the physical manifestations of control, of overthinking, of trying to figure everything out. Simply notice the patterns of tension. You have now completed a brief tour of your own sacred manuscript. You have begun the process of reading. The next step is to refine your vocabulary. To truly disarm the power of a difficult emotion, we must learn to translate it from a big, scary label like anxiety into its neutral, sensory components. This is an act of profound alchemy. It moves you from being the victim of an emotion to being a scientist of sensation. Let's build a glossary. Instead of saying, "I feel anxious," can you describe it purely in the language of sensation? Does it have a temperature? Is it hot and frantic, or icy and cold? Does it have a quality of movement? Is it a sharp, stabbing feeling, or a dull, throbbing ache? Is it a buzzing, vibrating, or tingling energy? Is it a swirling, churning motion? Does it have a quality of pressure and density? Does it feel heavy, like a lead weight, or light and airy? Does it feel tight and constricted, or open and spacious? Does it feel dense and solid, or fuzzy and diffuse? When you can say, "I am experiencing a cold, vibrating tightness in my chest and a heavy, churning sensation in my stomach," you have performed a miracle. You have taken the monstrous, abstract concept of anxiety and broken it down into a manageable series of physical events. These events are not you. They are simply weather patterns moving through the landscape of your body, and you are the one observing them. Once you have located and described a sensation, the final step is to learn how to be with it. What does it mean to process an emotion? It simply means to feel the physical sensation of it fully, without resistance, until it has completed its life cycle. Here are 4 invitations for how to be with a sensation. 4 ways of offering it, the healing presence of your awareness. First, there is the invitation of breath. Locate a point of tension in your body. Now, imagine that you can direct your breath to that exact spot. As you inhale, imagine your breath as a wave of warm, healing energy, flowing directly into the tightness, bringing it oxygen and life. As you exhale, imagine the tension softening, dissolving, and flowing out of your body with the breath. You are not trying to force it away. You are lovingly meeting it, bathing it in the life-giving energy of your own breath. Second, there is the invitation of space. Focus on a sensation of constriction or density. Now, in your mind's eye, imagine creating more space around that sensation. If your chest feels tight, Visualize its walls gently expanding outward by an inch in every direction. You are creating a larger container for the feeling. You are giving it room to breathe, to move, to be. You will often find that when you stop trying to constrict a feeling, when you give it more space, it begins to loosen its grip on its own. Third is the invitation of curiosity. Approach the sensation as if you were a compassionate friend. Without needing a verbal answer, you can gently ask the sensation a question. What are you holding? What information do you have for me? What do you need right now? This is not about getting a mental answer. It is an energetic act of respect. It tells the frozen, wounded part of you that you are finally here, you are listening, and you are safe to be with. It honors the body's wisdom. Finally, there is the most powerful and profound invitation of all, the invitation of allowance. This is the culmination of all our work so far. Can you simply let the sensation be? Can you drop all agendas to fix it, change it, heal it, or make it go away? Can you be the unconditionally loving space in which this sensation is allowed to exist, exactly as it is, for as long as it needs to? This is the essence of surrender. This is true compassion. Paradoxically, the moment you can fully and truly allow a sensation to be there without resistance is the moment it begins to transform and release. Its only desire was to be witnessed. Once it has been seen by the loving eye of your awareness, its work is done. Your body is not a battlefield. It is a garden. It is your wisest counselor and your most honest friend. It holds the complete, unedited story of your life. The language it speaks is the truth. By learning to read this sacred text, by listening to its whispers before they become screams, you are not just healing anxiety. You are doing the sacred work of integration. You are calling the exiled parts of yourself back home. You are becoming whole. Now that you are becoming fluent in this physical language, we can turn our gaze to the force that writes it. We can examine the source code, the deep programming of the cognitive mind that dictates what stories are written onto the pages of your body. We must now investigate the stories we inhabit. You are seated on the hill of the observer, learning to read the subtle, truthful language of your body. You have discovered that your physical self is a sacred text, a manuscript where every experience is recorded in the language of sensation. Now we must ask the fundamental question: who is the author? What intelligence writes these words of tension, of ache, of fluttering panic onto the pages of your being? The author is the storyteller in your mind. The physical sensations you decode in your body are the direct, unfiltered printout of the stories you are telling yourself about who you are and what your life is. Your anxiety is not caused by the events in your life. It is caused by the narrative you have wrapped around those events. And you have been living inside this story for so long that you have mistaken its walls for the edges of the world. Imagine that your entire reality is a house. This house is constructed brick by brick from the stories and beliefs you have accumulated throughout your life. You do not see the house because you are inside of it. Its windows are the only way you see the world. Its ceiling is the only limit you believe you have. Its rooms are the only roles you believe you can play. Some of these stories are beautiful and supportive, like strong, load-bearing walls and wide, sunlit windows. But many of us have, unknowingly, built our house with faulty materials. We have used the bricks of self-doubt, the mortar of fear, and the blueprints of unworthiness. The anxiety you feel, the chronic tension you just located in your body, is the creaking of these walls under the pressure of life. It is the sound of a foundation that cannot support the weight of your own potential. It is the urgent groan of a house that has become a prison, a structure far too small for the magnificent being you truly are. Where did these blueprints come from? You did not draw them. You were born a vast, open field of potential, not a prefabricated house. These stories were given to you. You absorbed them from your environment long before you had the conscious ability to question them. You learned them from the spoken and unspoken rules of your family. A parent, acting from their own unhealed fear, might have handed you the brick that says, "You must be perfect to be loved." A difficult experience at school may have given you the brick that says, "It's not safe to be seen." The culture around you, with its relentless messaging of scarcity and competition, likely built an entire wing of your house with bricks that say, "There's not enough," and "You are not enough as you are." These stories were not given to you with malicious intent. They were survival strategies, passed down through generations. They were the stories your caregivers used to navigate their own world. You adopted them because you needed to belong, to be safe, to be loved. Believing these stories was once a brilliant adaptation. But now, in your adult life, the shelter has become a cage. The story that once kept you safe now keeps you small. The first task of a prisoner who wishes to be free is to realize that they are in a prison. You must become a detective of your own mind, an archaeologist of your own beliefs. You must learn to identify the core narratives that are running your life on autopilot. They are often invisible because they feel like truth, like the air you breathe, but you can learn to see them by observing their effects. Let us illuminate some of the most common prison stories that generate anxiety. See if you recognize the architecture of the story of unworthiness. The central belief here is, "I am fundamentally flawed." This story manifests as a persistent feeling of being an imposter, a fear of being found out. It causes you to sabotage your own success because, deep down, you don't believe you deserve it. It makes you unable to truly receive love or compliments, deflecting them because they contradict your core narrative. It fuels a constant need for external validation while simultaneously ensuring that no amount of validation is ever enough to fill the inner void. The anxiety from this story is a low-grade hum of shame and a fear of exposure. Or perhaps you reside in the house built by the story of scarcity. The foundational belief here is, "There is not enough, and I will be left with nothing." This is not just about money. It's a scarcity of love, of opportunity, of time, of safety. This story creates a life of constant striving, of hustle, of grim competition. You can't relax because you believe that if you stop moving, you will be overtaken and left behind. You may hoard resources or be unable to be generous with your time or energy. The anxiety from this story is a frantic, grasping energy, a feeling of being perpetually behind, a tension that comes from believing life is a battle to be won rather than a gift to be received. Many are trapped within the story of impending doom. The core belief is simply, something bad is about to happen. Even when things are going well, especially when things are going well, this story whispers that it's just the calm before the storm. It forces you to constantly scan your environment, your body, and your relationships for signs of threat. It is the engine of what-if thinking. It mistakes contentment for complacency. The anxiety born from this story is a state of hypervigilance, a feeling of dread, an inability to ever truly rest in the peace of the present moment because you are always rehearsing for a future tragedy. Finally, consider the story of control. The central tenet is, "I am only safe if I can control my environment and the people in it." This story often arises from a childhood where things felt chaotic and unpredictable. As an adult, it manifests as perfectionism, micromanagement, and a deep-seated intolerance for uncertainty. You try to script every conversation, plan every outcome, and manage everyone's feelings. It is an utterly exhausting way to live, because life, by its very nature, is uncontrollable. The anxiety from this story is a rigid, brittle tension, a constant frustration that the world will not bend to your will, and a deep fear of what will happen if you ever let go. To recognize these stories at play within you is a moment of profound liberation, because here is the secret that changes everything. These stories are not true. They are not immutable laws of the universe. They are interpretations. They are habits of thought. And if a story is merely an interpretation, it can be reinterpreted. If the house is built of beliefs, you can choose new beliefs. This is the moment you move from being a character trapped in a pre-written script to becoming the author, holding the pen. The power to write your reality was never taken from you. You simply forgot you were holding it. Your anxiety is the ache in your hand from clenching the pen so tightly for so long, forgetting that you can use it to write a new chapter. You do not begin by bulldozing the old house. You begin with a single, gentle edit. You begin by questioning the narrative. The next time the storyteller in your head begins its familiar tale of unworthiness or doom, you do not have to believe it. You do not have to fight it. You can simply introduce a gentle question. When the thought "I am going to fail at this" arises, you can meet it with a quiet, internal, "Is that so?" or "Is that the only possible story?" or "Thank you for sharing, mind, but I'm open to a different outcome." The question itself is an act of power. It creates a space between you and the story. It is the first crack of light in the prison wall. You are reminding yourself that you are the author, and the author always has the final say on how the story goes. You are taking back the pen. Recognizing the architecture of your own prison is the first and most essential step to freedom. You cannot leave a room if you do not see the walls. Now that you are beginning to see the stories that have confined you, you are ready to find the door. One of the most rigid and universal walls in the human prison is the story that we must be perfect, that our cracks and broken pieces are a source of shame. To dismantle this one story is to weaken the entire structure. We must now confront the illusion of the unbroken. We have begun to see the walls of the house we inhabit, the invisible architecture of the stories that shape our reality. Now, we must turn our attention to one of the most foundational and unforgiving walls in the entire structure. A story so pervasive it is etched into the very soul of our culture. It is the illusion of the unbroken. It is the quiet, crushing belief that to be worthy, to be safe, to be loved, you must be perfect, you must be seamless. You must present to the world a polished facade of having it all together, a mask of competence and composure that shows no cracks, no chips, no signs of wear. This silent mandate is everywhere. It is in the curated perfection of social media feeds, in the relentless pressure to succeed without struggle, in the unspoken family rule that we don't air our dirty laundry. We have become a society of performers, each playing the part of the unbroken human. While behind the mask, we are terrified of being exposed as the beautifully messy, profoundly imperfect beings we all are. The anxiety that stems from this illusion is immense. It is the constant, low-grade fear of the mask slipping. It is the exhaustion of holding up a heavy shield of perfection against the unpredictable nature of life. We live in terror of our own humanity. We dread the mistake that will reveal our incompetence, the emotional breakdown that will reveal our instability, the moment of weakness that will reveal our neediness. This fear is rooted in the deepest human fear of all, the fear of disconnection. The story whispers that if people see your cracks, they will turn away in disgust. If they witness your brokenness, they will deem you unworthy of love and belonging. This is the core mechanism of shame. And so we hide. We isolate ourselves in our own performance, creating the very disconnection we are so afraid of. The truth is that the mask of perfection is the loneliest place on earth. It prevents anyone from ever truly seeing you, and it prevents you from ever truly being seen. It is a self-imposed exile from the warmth of authentic human connection. Let us now, together, dismantle this illusion with a more ancient, more profound, and infinitely more beautiful philosophy. In Japan, there is an art form called kintsugi. When a cherished piece of pottery, a bowl, a cup, a vase is dropped and shatters, it is not thrown away. It is not seen as ruined or useless. Instead, the pieces are gathered with reverence by a master craftsman. They are painstakingly reassembled, and the lines where the pieces join are mended with a special lacquer that is dusted with pure gold. The result is breathtaking. The object is not just repaired, it is transformed. it becomes more beautiful, more valuable, and more unique than it was before it was broken. The network of golden seams tells the story of its history, of its resilience. The bowl is more precious because it was broken and lovingly restored. This is the philosophy we must now apply to our own hearts, our own minds, our own lives. You have been shattered. Life has dropped you. Your heart has been broken. Your plans have fallen apart. Your innocence has been cracked. You have been taught to view these cracks as a source of shame, as evidence of your failure. You have spent your life trying to hide them, to spackle over them, to pretend they do not exist. Kintsugi teaches us the opposite. It invites you to gather the pieces of yourself with reverence. It asks you to see the lines of your trauma, your grief, your failures, and your disappointments not as flaws, but as the potential for golden seams. The golden lacquer is your own loving awareness, your compassion, your courage to accept your own story. Every heartbreak is a line of gold. Every failure is a line of gold. Every time you fell and got back up, you were tracing a line of gold. Your anxiety, your depression, your wounds, these are not signs that you are broken beyond repair. They are the fault lines where the gold can enter. You are not beautiful in spite of your cracks. You are beautiful because of them. They are the unique signature of your soul, the testament to a life fully lived, the proof of your incredible strength. This new vision requires us to redefine strength itself. Our culture teaches a brittle definition of strength. Strength is being hard, impenetrable, unaffected. It is the unyielding oak tree that stands rigid against the wind. But in a hurricane, it is the rigid oak that snaps in two, while the flexible bamboo that bends with the wind survives. The strength of the unbroken is an illusion. It is brittle and fragile. True strength, resilient strength, is found in vulnerability. It is the courage to be soft. It is the willingness to acknowledge your cracks, to say I am struggling, or I don't know the answer, or I need help. This is the strength of the Kintsugi bowl. Its value is not in pretending it was never broken, but in showing its golden repairs with honor. When you have the courage to show your vulnerability, to let someone see your golden seams, you create a space of profound safety. You give them implicit permission to see and accept their own. This is how true intimacy is forged. The mask of perfection keeps you isolated. The courage to show your repaired brokenness is what invites love in. The active ingredient in this transformation, the gold in the lacquer, is self-compassion. For years, when you have noticed a flaw in yourself, you have likely met it with the harsh whip of your inner critic. You have called yourself stupid, weak, or unlovable. This self-criticism is the force that shatters you again and again. Self-compassion is the gentle hand that gathers the pieces. It is treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer to a treasured friend who was suffering. When you make a mistake, you do not berate yourself. You acknowledge the pain and say, "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is a part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment." This warmth, this unconditional acceptance, is the alchemy that turns the lead of your pain into the gold of your wisdom. Look at yourself now, in your mind's eye. See the rich and complex tapestry of your life. See the moments of joy as bright, solid colors, and see the lines of gold weaving through it all. See the failure that taught you humility. See the heartbreak that cracked your heart open to a deeper capacity for love. See the period of anxiety that forced you to embark on this journey inward to find your true strength. These are not scars to be ashamed of. These are your victory stripes. They are the story of your becoming. To embrace your Kintsugi nature is to finally let go of the exhausting burden of pretending. You are not a pristine, mass-produced object. You are a unique, handcrafted masterpiece, made all the more precious by the journey it has taken. By embracing this truth, by allowing yourself to be this beautifully imperfect and resilient vessel, you cultivate a new capacity within yourself. You learn that it is safe to feel things fully because you know you will not be shattered beyond repair. You have the gold of awareness to mend yourself, This new trust in your own resilience is the key. It allows you to finally give yourself permission to experience the full spectrum of your emotions without being terrified that they will break you. You can now learn to allow a difficult feeling to flow through the vessel of your being, knowing it is just a visitor, a river passing through. You are ready to give yourself permission to feel, without giving emotions permission to dwell. You stand now as a work of living art, a kintsugi masterpiece whose golden seams of experience make you both beautiful and resilient. You have learned that your strength is not in being unbreakable, but in the courage to embrace your own repaired brokenness. This profound self-acceptance creates a new kind of inner safety. It means you no longer have to live in terror of your own feelings, afraid they might shatter you. You now know that you are a vessel capable of holding the full spectrum of the human experience. With this knowledge, we can now approach the flow of our emotions with a new wisdom, moving beyond the two great traps that cause so much suffering, suppression, and dwelling. For most of our lives, we have been taught to deal with difficult emotions in one of two ways. The first, which we have explored, is suppression. This is the path of denial. An uncomfortable feeling like grief or fear arises, and we immediately push it down, numb it out, or distract ourselves from it. We build a dam to hold back the river of our feelings, terrified that if we let it flow, it will become a flood that will drown us. The immense pressure that builds up behind this dam is the source of so much of our anxiety, a constant vibrational stress that leaks through the cracks and poisons our peace. The second trap is more subtle and can even masquerade as self-awareness. This is the trap of dwelling. This is the path of indulgence. In this pattern, when a difficult emotion arises, we do not suppress it. Instead, we fuse with it completely. We invite it in, give it the best seat in the house, and then allow it to narrate our entire reality. We become the emotion. If sadness visits, we don't just feel sadness, we become a sad person. We then feed the emotion by endlessly replaying the story that brought it here. We ruminate on the past offense. We analyze the feeling's every nuance. We project its existence into an infinite future. We essentially grab the temporary visitor and lock it in the basement, chaining it to our identity with the shackles of a story. Both suppression and dwelling come from the same root fear, the belief that the emotion is dangerous and potentially permanent. There is, however, a third way, a middle path of profound power and grace. It is the path of allowing the river to flow. Imagine your consciousness, your very being, is the wide, deep, and stable bed of a great river. The water flowing through the riverbed is the stream of your emotions. Sometimes, the water is a clear, gentle current of contentment. At other times, it is a muddy, slow-moving tide of grief. And on some days, it is a raging, churning torrent of anger or fear. Your mistake has been to believe that you are the water. When the river rages, you believe you are rage. When the river is sluggish, you believe you are grief. The work now is to disidentify with the water and remember your true nature as the riverbed. The riverbed provides the container for the water. It allows the river to flow, in whatever state it is in, without judgment or resistance. The riverbed is not damaged by the flood, nor does it try to cling to the gentle current. It remains itself, strong and unchanging, while the temporary weather pattern of the water passes through. This is the practice of giving yourself permission to feel, but not giving the feeling permission to dwell. What precisely is the difference? To feel an emotion is to allow its raw physical sensations to move through your body without resistance. It is the pure, non-verbal experience we explored earlier. The heat in the chest of anger, the hollow ache of sadness, the vibrating tightness of fear. To feel is a clean, natural, and often brief process. Energy is simply moving through the vessel of your kintsugi self. Dwelling, on the other hand, is what happens when the thinking mind gets involved and builds a narrative around the feeling. Dwelling is the mental commentary. The pure sensation of sadness arises, and the mind immediately adds the story. I feel so sad. It's because of what happened yesterday. Things like this always happen to me. I'll never be happy. What's wrong with me? It is this story, this rumination, that takes the transient energy of an emotion and turns it into a prolonged state of suffering. The feeling is the visitor. The dwelling is the act of insisting it move in, redecorate, and change its name to me. The practice, then, is to become a gracious host to your emotions, but one with healthy boundaries. You allow the visitor to enter, but you do not allow it to take over your house. Here is how you can practice this. When you notice an emotion beginning to arise, the first step is to simply acknowledge and name it, as if greeting a visitor at the door. Ah, hello, anger. I see you are here. Or, welcome, fear. I feel your presence. This simple act of naming creates a space. It immediately establishes that you are the host, and it is the visitor. You are not the anger. You are the one who is aware of anger. The second step is to drop the story. Let go of the why, the who, the when. The story is the food that the emotion feeds on to sustain itself. Politely refuse to serve it. Gently unhook your attention from the mental chatter and the reel of memories associated with the feeling. Your only task is to move to the third step. The third step is to feel the raw sensation in the body. Where is this visitor staying in the house of your body? Go to that location. Is the anger a hot pressure in your chest and shoulders? Is the fear a cold knot in your stomach? Is the sadness a lump in your throat? Let go of the label anger and just feel the pure sensations of heat and pressure. Let go of the label fear and just feel the sensations of coldness and constriction. Be the scientist of your inner world, observing the raw data with curiosity. The fourth and final step is to offer no resistance to the physical sensation. This is the heart of the practice. Imagine the sensation is a current of energy that simply wants to flow through you. Your job is to open all the doors and windows of your being and let it pass. Breathe into it. Soften the muscles around it. Do not tense against it. Do not wish it away. Simply give it radical permission to be there. You are the riverbed, allowing the water to flow. This practice requires courage, especially at first. You are undoing a lifetime of conditioning, but with practice, you will discover a profound truth. An emotion that is fully felt, without the fuel of a story and without the wall of resistance, cannot last for long. It is just energy, and energy is meant to move. The heat of anger, when truly felt, will often burn brightly and then transform into a sense of clarity or strength. The deep ache of grief, when allowed to be, will wash through you and leave behind a soft sense of peace and love. The vibrating energy of fear, when met with presence, will often dissipate into stillness. It is the resistance and the storytelling that keeps emotions trapped for days, weeks, or even years. The great paradox is that the only way to let go of a feeling is to let it be. You are the container, not the contained. You are the space, not what passes through the space. This practice of giving permission creates more and more of this inner space. You begin to feel less like a tiny boat tossed on the ocean, and more like the ocean itself, capable of holding every wave. You are building your emotional resilience not by becoming harder, but by becoming more open, more allowing, more spacious. As you cultivate this inner space, you begin to notice something remarkable. In the gap between one feeling and the next, between one thought and the next, in the quiet pauses between the traffic on the highway, there is a profound silence. A stillness. This is not an empty void. It is a space that is pregnant with peace, with power, with potential. This is the space we will enter next, the space between thoughts. You have learned to be the riverbed, the stable, allowing presence through which the waters of emotion can flow. You have cultivated an inner space where feelings are permitted to arise, to be felt, and to pass, without needing to become your identity. Now, we are going to turn our full attention to the nature of this space itself. For in this space, in the quiet pauses of your inner world, lies a gateway to a dimension of consciousness that is entirely free from anxiety. a peace that does not depend on external circumstances. We are going to explore the space between thoughts. Imagine your life. Your entire mental and emotional experience is a piece of music. For years, you have been utterly captivated by the notes. You have been fixated on the loud, dramatic crescendos of anger, the melancholic minor chords of sadness, the frantic staccato notes of fear. You have believed that your life is the notes. You have judged yourself based on the quality of the melody, always striving for a happier tune. But in doing so, you have been completely deaf to the most profound element of the music, the silence between the notes. It is the silence that gives the notes their meaning. It is the pause that creates rhythm, that builds anticipation, that allows for beauty. Without the silence, the music would just be a cacophony, a meaningless wall of sound. Your life is this music. Your thoughts are the notes. The peace you seek is not in a better arrangement of notes, but in discovering the silent, sacred space from which the notes arise and to which they return. The thinking mind, the ego, wants you to believe that the stream of thought is continuous. It presents itself as a ceaseless monologue, a constant narrator of your life. This is happening, now that's happening, what should I do next? What did she mean by that? I shouldn't have said that. The ego identifies completely with this stream. It believes that if the stream of thought were to stop, it would die. And in a way, it is correct. The ego self, the psychological identity built from memories and future projections, cannot exist in the absence of thought. This is why the mind abhors a vacuum. It will rush to fill any moment of silence with more noise, more analysis, more commentary. It does this because it is fighting for its own survival. To consciously seek the space between thoughts is a radical act. It is a declaration that you are ready to discover an identity that is deeper and more real than the voice in your head. Let us embark on this discovery now, not as an intellectual concept, but as a direct experience. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes. Begin by becoming aware of your body as an anchor, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the gentle rhythm of your breath. Now, shift the focus of your attention from your body to your mind. Become a listener. Imagine you are sitting in a quiet room, simply waiting to hear the next sound. But in this case, the room is your mind, and the sounds are your thoughts. Do not try to stop your thoughts. Do not judge them. Simply take on the posture of a patient, curious listener. Your only task is to witness the next thought that arises. Now, as a thought appears, watch it. See it from its beginning to its end. A thought might be an image, a single word, or a full sentence. Just observe its life cycle. It arises out of the silence. It plays across the screen of your awareness, and then it dissolves back into the silence. It is after the thought dissolves that our true work begins. For a moment, after one thought ends and before the next one begins, there is a gap, a pause, a brief interval of pure stillness. It may last only for a fraction of a second. Do not try to create it. Do not try to prolong it. Your only task is to notice it when it occurs naturally. Be like a cat watching a mouse hole. You are not chasing the mouse. You are simply waiting with alert stillness, aware of the space at the entrance of the hole. When you notice a gap, a moment of no thought, gently rest your awareness in it. Feel its texture. You will find that it is not a dull, empty void. It is alive. It is a state of alert, vibrant stillness. It is profoundly peaceful. There is no problem to be solved in this space. There is no past to regret or future to fear. There is only a simple, silent, aware presence. This is the background of your mind. This is the canvas. This is home. At first, you may find that the very act of noticing the gap causes the mind to immediately create a new thought, such as, "Wow, I found a gap." That is perfectly normal. That is the ego rushing in to reclaim its territory. Do not be discouraged. Do not see this as a failure. The practice is not measured by the length of the gaps you find. The practice is the act of watching itself. Each time you return to the role of the silent watcher, You are weakening the mind's compulsive habit of noise-making and strengthening your connection to the background of stillness. This background stillness, this space between thoughts, has been called by many names: presence, being, pure consciousness, the unmanifested. The name does not matter. What matters is your direct experience of it. We have been conditioned to fear emptiness, but this space is not empty. It is full. It is full of peace, full of intelligence, full of potential. Think of the night sky. For our whole lives, we have been obsessed with the stars, the bright, glittering objects of our attention. We have been astronomers of our own thoughts. The practice we are now learning is to become aware of the vast, dark, infinite space of the night sky itself. The stars are only visible, only beautiful, because they appear against this backdrop of immense stillness. The space is not the absence of the stars. It is the context that allows them to be. Your consciousness is this space. Your thoughts are the stars. You are learning to fall in love with the vastness of your own inner sky, not just the fleeting fire of its celestial objects. This space is the source of all true creativity and intuition. When you have a sudden flash of insight, a brilliant idea that seems to come from nowhere, it has come from this space of no mind. When you are in a state of flow, completely absorbed in an activity, you are operating from this space. When you feel a deep, intuitive knowing about a situation that defies logic, that knowing has arisen from the silent intelligence of this space. It is your connection to a universal intelligence far greater than the limited capacity of your personal thinking mind. To learn to access it consciously is to tap into an infinite reservoir of peace and wisdom. Every time you rest in the gap, you are building a new home for your awareness. You are rewiring your brain to identify not with the foreground of noise, but with the background of peace. You are learning to live as the stillness itself, witnessing the thoughts, rather than living as the thoughts, desperately searching for a moment of stillness. This is the ultimate liberation from the prison of anxiety. Anxiety cannot exist in this space. It is a phenomenon of thought, of time, of projecting into a fearful future. In the timeless, thought-free space of the now, anxiety has no oxygen. It cannot breathe. As you continue this practice, you will begin to notice that this space, this stillness, is not just a mental phenomenon. It has a palpable feeling, an energetic quality. It feels clear, light, and high. It has a distinct vibration. Understanding the energetic nature of this peace, and of all our inner states, is the key to becoming a true alchemist of your own reality. We must now explore the energetic signature of emotion. We have journeyed into the sacred stillness, the silent, aware space that exists between your thoughts. You have discovered that this space is not an empty void, but a dimension of profound peace and potential. It is the silent canvas upon which the art of your life is painted. Now, we must examine the very substance of the paint itself. We must understand that every thought, every feeling, every mood that arises out of that stillness is not just a psychological event. It is an energetic event. It is a vibration. And you, as a conscious being, are not just a thinker and a feeler. You are a transmitter and a receiver of energy. This is the key to moving from passively managing your anxiety to actively creating a new reality of peace and strength. At the most fundamental level, everything in our universe, from the farthest star to the chair you are sitting on, is not solid. It is energy. It is information vibrating at a specific frequency. This is no longer the realm of mysticism. It is the conclusion of modern physics. Your physical body is a dense field of energy. Your thoughts are lighter, faster bursts of energy. And your emotions are powerful, resonant fields of energy that emanate from you and interact with the world around you. You are a vibrational being living in a vibrational universe. The stillness you discovered between your thoughts is your baseline frequency, your true nature. It is the pure, coherent, and peaceful vibration of being itself. Every emotion that you experience is a modulation of this fundamental frequency. It is a disturbance, a modification, a song that you are playing on the instrument of your soul. To make this simple, let us use a powerful metaphor. Imagine that you are a living radio tower, the most sophisticated broadcast station in the universe. Your heart and your mind are the tuning dial, and your emotional state is the precise frequency you are broadcasting at any given moment. When you are in a state of gratitude and love, you are broadcasting on a high, clear frequency. When you are in a state of fear, shame, or anger, you are broadcasting on a low, dense, static-filled frequency. The universe, which operates on an impersonal and infallible law of resonance, often called the law of attraction or the law of vibration, does not judge your broadcast. It simply acts as a perfect mirror. It reflects back to you experiences, people, and circumstances that are a perfect vibrational match for the frequency you are sending out. This is not a reward or a punishment. It is physics. If you tune your car radio to 98.7 FM, you cannot possibly hear the broadcast on 105.3 FM. You can only receive what you are tuned to. In the same way, if you are consistently tuned to the frequency of anxiety, the belief that the world is unsafe and that something bad is about to happen, the universe cannot deliver to you a reality of peace and security. It will, by law, reflect your broadcast by presenting you with more things to be anxious about. You will notice the potential threats. You will attract unreliable people. You will experience events that confirm your fearful worldview. Conversely, if you learn to consciously tune yourself to the frequency of peace and trust, the universe will begin to reflect that reality back to you. You will notice the beauty and kindness around you. You will attract stable and loving relationships, and you will experience a flow of synchronicity and support. Your primary work is not to change the world, but to change your frequency. The world will then change automatically in response. Let us create a glossary of these energetic signatures so you can become more aware of the frequency you are broadcasting. We can think of these vibrations on a scale from low and dense, which feel like contraction, to high and light, which feel like expansion. At the very bottom of the scale are the densest, most contractive frequencies, shame and guilt. The energetic signature of shame is a crushing weight, a feeling of wanting to be invisible, to shrink into nothingness. It is an energy of implosion, of hiding. It broadcasts the message, "I am unworthy to exist," and it disconnects you from the flow of life force. Fear and anxiety are slightly higher, but still deeply contractive. Their signature is a chaotic, jagged, high-speed static. It is a scattered energy, vibrating frantically but with very little actual power. It constricts your breathing, tightens your muscles, and narrows your focus to only perceive threats. It broadcasts the message, "I am not safe," and it creates a reality of perpetual vigilance and avoidance. Above this is anger and frustration. The frequency of anger is hot, sharp, and forceful. It has more power than fear. It is an outward-moving energy, but it is volatile and often destructive. It is the energy of pushing against reality, of intense resistance. It broadcasts the message, "The world is against me," and creates a reality of conflict and struggle. As we move up the scale, we reach a pivotal turning point. The first step into expansion is the frequency of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act despite the presence of the fear frequency. It is a powerful, intentional energy that says, "I am afraid, but I will move forward anyway." It is the frequency that begins to dissolve paralysis and create momentum. Above courage is the stable plane of neutrality and acceptance. This is the frequency of the observer on the hill. Its energy is calm, steady, and non-resistant. It is the feeling of, "It is what it is." It does not judge events as good or bad. It simply allows them to be. This frequency stops the creation of negative energy and establishes a state of inner peace and clarity. It broadcasts the powerful message, "I am at peace with what is." From this stable platform, we can access the truly high frequencies. The frequency of love and compassion is a warm, radiant, and coherent energy. Unlike anger, which pushes out forcefully, love flows out gently and unconditionally. It is the energy of connection, of empathy, of seeing yourself in another. It feels like opening, like dissolving the boundaries of the separate self. It broadcasts the message, we are all connected, and it creates a reality of supportive relationships and deep belonging. Higher still is the frequency of joy and gratitude. The energy of joy is light, bubbly, and effortless. It is an upward moving current, but its foundation is gratitude. Gratitude is the conscious acknowledgement of the good that is already present in your life. It is the frequency that says, I have more than enough. I am so blessed. It is one of the most powerful magnetic frequencies in the universe. Broadcasting gratitude is the fastest way to tune your radio to the station of abundance, which can only respond by sending you more things to be grateful for. Finally, at the very peak of the scale is the frequency we have already touched upon, the profound peace of the space between thoughts. This is the frequency of pure being. It is silent, still, all-encompassing, and infinitely powerful. It is the baseline from which all other frequencies arise. It is the frequency of oneness with the universe. So, the crucial question is, how do you change the station? How do you move from a low frequency to a high one? It is an alchemical process, and it begins not with force, but with awareness. You must first accept, without judgment, the frequency you are currently broadcasting. If you are feeling fear, you must use the tools we have learned to acknowledge it. Feel it in your body and allow it to be. Resisting your current frequency only amplifies it. Acceptance is the starting point. From that point of acceptance, you can introduce a new frequency. You do not have to make a giant leap from fear to joy. You can take one small step up the scale, perhaps from fear to courage, or from anger to a moment of acceptance. One of the most powerful levers for this shift is the conscious cultivation of gratitude. Even in your darkest moments, you can find one single, microscopic thing to be genuinely grateful for. It might be the breath entering your body, the fact that you have a roof over your head, the memory of a pet's affection. Find that one small thing and focus on it. Allow yourself to feel the genuine sensation of gratitude in your body, even if it is just for 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, you have successfully changed the station. You have proved to yourself that you are the one in control of the dial. You can also use your body to initiate a frequency shift. The mind and body are a two-way street. A fearful mind creates a tense body, but a relaxed body can also create a calmer mind. Consciously unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders from their position up by your ears. Take one slow, deep belly breath. Place your hand over your heart and feel its warmth. These small physical acts send a new signal to your nervous system. They are a physical declaration that says, I am choosing to move towards safety and peace. Furthermore, you can use the creative power of your mind, the very tool that has been creating anxiety, to consciously generate a higher frequency. This is the art of intentional creation. Sit quietly and call to mind a memory of a time you felt genuinely loved, or deeply joyful, or profoundly peaceful. Do not just think about the memory. Step back into it. See what you saw, hear what you heard, and most importantly, feel the emotional frequency of that moment in your body right now. Your body does not know the difference between a real and an imagined experience. By evoking the feeling state of a past joy, you begin to broadcast that joyous frequency in the present moment. You are deliberately tuning your radio to the station you wish to receive from. You are an energetic being, a conscious broadcaster. Your primary responsibility in this life is not to please others, not to accumulate things, not even to do good deeds. Your primary responsibility is to tend to the garden of your own vibration, to consciously and diligently choose the frequency you are broadcasting. This is not a selfish act. It is the greatest gift you can give to the planet. One person living in a state of authentic peace has a more powerful positive impact on the collective field than 1,000 people fighting for peace from a state of anger and conflict. Your state of being is your ultimate contribution. The universe does not hear your words or your wishes. It feels your frequency. It responds not to what you want, but to who you are being. The journey from anxiety to strength is the conscious, deliberate journey up this vibrational scale. It is the process of learning to be the master of your own energetic signature. However, as you begin this work, you will notice that the old, dense, anxious self seems to have a powerful momentum. It has been fed for years, and it does not give up its territory easily. To truly shift your default frequency, you must learn to stop providing the anxious self with the very energy it needs to survive. You must learn the sacred art of withdrawing your attention. You must learn to starve the anxious self. You have learned to read the language of your body and to identify the energetic signature of your emotions. You are becoming a conscious broadcaster, aware of the frequency you are sending out into the universe. And yet, you may notice that despite your best efforts to tune to a higher channel, the old, familiar static of anxiety often returns with a powerful gravitational pull. This is because for years, you have been unconsciously sustaining a phantom entity within you. We can call it the anxious self, or the pain body, or the ego. It is not the real you, the silent, peaceful observer. It is a collection of old fears, past traumas, and limiting stories that have banded together and taken on a life of their own. It is an energetic parasite, and its sole purpose is to survive. And the only thing it feeds on, the only substance that gives it life, is your attention. Let us imagine this anxious self is a fire burning in the center of your consciousness. For a long time, you believed this fire was you. You identified with its heat, its light, and its destructive potential. When it flared up, you felt its panic. When it dimmed, you felt its dread, and you believed it was your duty to manage this fire. But the fundamental truth is this: the fire has no fuel of its own. The only thing that keeps it burning is the fuel you provide it. And the fuel is the currency of your consciousness, your attention. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. This is a law that is absolute. Every time you worry about a future event, you are throwing a log on the fire. Every time you replay a painful memory, you are adding kindling. Every time you engage in a debate with the voice of fear in your head, you are fanning the flames. You have been, with the best of intentions, diligently feeding the very entity you wish would disappear. Our previous efforts to deal with this fire have been misguided because they were based on a false premise. We believed the fire was a real and powerful threat that had to be actively fought. One strategy is to try and extinguish the fire with water. This is the act of arguing with your anxious thoughts, using logic and reason to put them out. But what happens when you throw water on a raging fire? You get a chaotic hissing, a cloud of steam, and often the fire just sputters and reignites, sometimes with more ferocity. Arguing with the anxious self gives it credibility. It validates its existence by treating it as a worthy opponent. You are still giving it your full, undivided attention. Another strategy is to try and smother the fire, to put a lid on it. This is the act of suppression. You feel the anxiety rise, and you grit your teeth, push it down, and pretend it's not there. But the fire is still burning under the lid. The pressure builds, the heat intensifies, and eventually it will either explode upward in a panic attack or leak out sideways as chronic irritability, depression, or physical illness. The energy has to go somewhere. A third strategy is to simply run away from the fire. This is the act of distraction. You feel the anxiety, so you immediately turn on the television, scroll through your phone, pour a drink, or immerse yourself in frantic activity. This may provide temporary relief. You have put some distance between yourself and the fire. But the fire is still burning back at your campsite. You know it's there. And the moment the distraction ends, Your awareness snaps back to it, and you realize nothing has changed. All of these strategies are exhausting, and all of them are ultimately ineffective because they honor the fire as a real and powerful force that must be managed. The true path to peace is to realize that the fire is a phantom, an illusion, and the way you defeat a phantom is not by fighting it, but by ceasing to believe in it. You put out the fire by simply, quietly, and deliberately stopping the supply of fuel. This is the practice of sacred neglect. This is not a passive act. It is a conscious, active, and deeply empowering choice. It is the redirecting of your life force. The process is simple, though it requires patience and persistence. The first step is to recognize the flame. As you go about your day, you will feel the familiar flicker of anxiety, the old story starting up, the familiar request for your attention. In that moment, your practice is to label it from the calm perspective of the observer on the hill. The fire is asking for fuel, or I see the anxious self is hungry again. This simple act of labeling creates an immediate space of separation. You are not the hunger. You are the one who notices the hunger. The second step is to acknowledge, but not engage. You do not need to be hostile to the fire. You can look at it with a kind of neutral detachment. I see you. I feel your heat. I hear your story. But that is all. You offer it no further conversation. You do not enter into a debate. You do not analyze why it is there. You treat it like a telemarketer who has called your home. You politely acknowledge they are on the line, and then you hang up. You do not engage them in a 30-minute conversation about why you are not interested in their product. To do so would be to waste your time and energy. The third and most crucial step is to pivot your attention. This is the moment you choose to drop the log you are holding. You consciously and deliberately place your precious attention somewhere else. And where is the most powerful place to put it? On the real, tangible, present moment. You pivot your attention back to your anchor. You turn your focus to the feeling of your breath moving in and out of your body. You place your awareness on the solid feeling of your feet on the floor. You open your ears to the sounds happening in the room right now. You are not running away from the fire. You are calmly turning your back on it to admire the beauty of the sunset instead. You are making a sovereign choice to invest your life force into reality, not into illusion. The fourth step is to repeat this process with infinite patience. The anxious self, like a spoiled child accustomed to getting its way, will not give up easily. When you first withdraw your attention, it will likely scream louder. The thoughts will become more urgent. The feelings will feel more intense. It will create a powerful sensation of emergency, trying to trick you into believing that this time the threat is real and you absolutely must pay attention. This is a critical moment. This is the fire's desperate attempt to lure you back into its service. Your job is to meet this intensity with the same calm practice. Recognize it. The fire is flaring up, trying to get my attention. Acknowledge it. I see this is an intense sensation. And then, with gentle determination, pivot back to your breath, back to your senses, back to the now. Each time you successfully refuse to feed the fire, you are reclaiming your power. You are rewiring your brain. You are strengthening your muscle of conscious attention and weakening the phantom's hold on you. The fire may continue to burn for a while, consuming the fuel of old habits and stored energy. But without a fresh supply of wood, it must, by law, begin to diminish. Its flames will shrink. Its heat will lessen. It will become less of a raging inferno and more of a flickering candle. And eventually, it will return to what it always was, cold, powerless ash. This practice of starving the anxious self, of sacred neglect, is an act of profound self-love. You are declaring that your attention, your life force, is too valuable to be wasted on the ghosts of the past and the phantoms of the future. But this is only half of the equation. As you cease to feed the fire of anxiety, you create an empty, cleared space in the garden of your mind. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you leave this fertile ground empty, old weeds may simply grow back. The work, therefore, is not just to remove the old, but to consciously and deliberately plant something new in its place. You must now become a gardener, actively cultivating the feelings and beliefs you do wish to grow. You are ready to begin planting a new garden. You have performed the sacred and necessary work of clearing the land. By learning to starve the anxious self, you have patiently and persistently refused to fuel the fire of your fear. You have walked away from the blaze, and in its place, where there was once a raging inferno of worry, there is now a cleared space, a field of cool, dark ash. It may feel empty at first, perhaps even strangely quiet, but this is not a void. This is a possibility. This is fertile ground. For years, the winds of chance have blown the seeds of fear, doubt, and scarcity onto the plot of your mind, and you, not knowing any better, have tended to these weeds as if they were your destiny. Now, you stand before the rich, dark soil of your own consciousness, a cleared field, holding a seed in your hand for the first time with conscious intent. This is a moment of immense power and profound responsibility. The work is no longer just about removing what is unwanted. It is about deliberately planting what is desired. You are to become the master gardener of your own soul. To cultivate this inner garden, you must first understand the nature of its elements. The soil itself is your subconscious mind, your imagination. This soil is infinitely fertile and utterly impartial. It does not judge the seed you plant. It will put the same immense creative power into growing a seed of poisonous nightshade as it will a seed of a life-giving fruit tree. Its only function is to receive the seed and bring it to fruition. It does not distinguish between a real event that you experience with your outer senses and an event that you experience vividly in your imagination. To the subconscious mind, a vividly imagined and felt experience is a real experience. This is the secret key to all creation. The seeds are your chosen thoughts and intentions. For too long, you have allowed random, fearful thoughts to be the seeds. Now, you must choose them with care. A seed is not a vague wish or a desperate hope. A wish is saying, "I hope it doesn't rain." An intention is a seed that says, "I am planting a beautiful, sun-drenched garden." A seed must be a statement of a present reality, a chosen state of being. The thought "I want to be peaceful" is still focused on wanting, on lack. The seed is the thought "I am peace." The thought "I hope I can be strong" is rooted in doubt. The seed is the thought "I am an unshakable fortress of inner strength." The seed contains within it the complete energetic blueprint of the fully grown plant. But a seed, no matter how perfect, will not grow in dry soil. The most essential element in your garden, the life-giving water that awakens the dormant power within the seed, is your feeling, your emotion. A thought alone is powerless. A thought combined with a feeling is creative. To think the thought, "I am peace," is to hold the seed in your hand. To feel the feeling of peace in your body is to plant that seed in the fertile soil and water it. This is the great secret. The subconscious mind is impressed only by feeling. The universe responds not to your thoughts, but to the feeling, state, the vibrational frequency from which those thoughts emerge. Your work as the gardener is to learn how to generate the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. Let us now enter the garden and plant a seed together. We will plant the seed of inner peace. Begin by preparing the soil. This means entering a state of deep relaxation, where the conscious mind's resistance is lowered and the subconscious soil is soft and receptive. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Take a few slow, deep breaths. And with each exhale, feel the tension leaving your body. Allow your awareness to travel through your body, letting go of any tightness. Feel yourself becoming heavy, relaxed, and still. This is the state akin to sleep, the fertile ground of creation. Now, you must create a short, simple scene in your imagination. a single symbolic act that would imply you are already the peaceful person you desire to be. The scene should be brief, sensory, and experienced in the first person. Do not create a long, complicated movie. A simple image is far more powerful. For instance, you could imagine yourself sitting calmly and smiling softly in a situation that would normally trigger your anxiety. Or you might imagine a loved one placing a hand on your arm and saying to you, with genuine admiration, "I've never seen you so peaceful." Choose a short scene that resonates with you, one that gives you a feeling of relief and completion. Once you have your scene, the real work begins. This is the watering of the seed with feeling. Step into the scene. Do not watch it like you are in a movie theater. Be in it. Feel your imaginary feet on the imaginary ground. If you are imagining your friend speaking to you, feel the warmth of their hand on your arm. Hear their voice with your inner ear. And most importantly, feel the emotion that this scene implies. How would you feel if you were already a bastion of inner peace? You would feel calm. You would feel centered. You would feel a quiet confidence. Generate that feeling in your body right now. Let the feeling of peace well up in your chest. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your breathing become slow and steady. Feel the quiet hum of serenity in your cells. Inhabit this feeling. Dwell in it. Let it permeate your entire being. This feeling is the water. This feeling is the magic. This feeling is the prayer that is always answered. Loop your short scene over and over again in your imagination, each time deepening the feeling, until this state of peace feels more real than the chair you are sitting on. When the feeling of peace feels natural, when it feels like your own familiar state of being, the work is done. The seed has been planted and watered. Now you must trust the process. You simply drop the feeling-toned imaginal act into the dark, fertile soil of your subconscious mind and let it go. You do not worry about it. You do not dig it up every 5 minutes to see if it's growing. You do not stress about how it will manifest. The how is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility was to plant the seed correctly. You have impressed your subconscious with the feeling of peace, and it has accepted this new blueprint. It will now, through its infinite wisdom, begin to orchestrate the events, circumstances, and insights necessary to bring that state of being into your physical reality. Of course, a garden requires ongoing care. This is not a one-time event, but the beginning of a new way of life. Make it a daily practice, especially in the moments before you fall asleep and upon waking, to revisit your scene and resaturate yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This is the daily watering that ensures strong and healthy growth. And what of the weeds? The old thoughts of anxiety and fear will inevitably try to sprout again. When they do, you do not panic. You do not give them your energy. You treat them as you have learned. You calmly recognize them, and then you refuse to water them with your attention. You gently turn your focus back to the feeling of the beautiful flower you are intentionally cultivating. You are consciously choosing, moment by moment, which plant in your garden gets your life-giving energy. Over time, you will also need sunshine to help your new garden flourish. The sunshine is the practice of gratitude. Throughout your day, be on the lookout for any small evidence that your seed of peace is sprouting. Perhaps you handle a stressful email with a bit more calm. Perhaps you notice a moment of quiet in your mind that wasn't there before. When you see these sprouts, acknowledge them with a wave of gratitude. Thank you. It is working. This gratitude acts like a magnifying glass, amplifying the energy and accelerating the growth of your desired reality. You are no longer a victim of the random thoughts and feelings that blow through your consciousness. You are the deliberate creator of your inner landscape, the master gardener of your soul. You are learning that your inner world is the cause and the outer world is the effect. The state of being that you cultivate within your garden is the seed form of the life that will bloom around you. This is the essence of conscious creation. As you become more adept at planting these seeds of peace, strength, and love, You will discover that there is one particular nutrient, one miraculous fertilizer, that makes the entire garden burst into vibrant, radiant life. It is the single most powerful frequency you can cultivate, an energy that is both the sunshine and the richest soil. It is the divine energy of gratitude. We must now explore its profound alchemy. You stand as the conscious gardener of your inner world, learning to clear the weeds of anxiety and plant the seeds of peace, strength, and love. You have learned that the feeling state you cultivate within is the blueprint for the life you will experience. Now, we arrive at the most potent nutrient you can add to this sacred soil, an element so transformative it can be considered a form of spiritual alchemy. It is the practice and the state of being known as gratitude. We must begin by understanding that true gratitude is not the polite, socially conditioned phrase, "thank you." It is not a platitude to be offered mechanically. It is a state of consciousness. It is a lens through which you view the world, a lens that has the power to transmute the base metal of your daily struggles into the pure gold of wisdom and peace. For centuries, alchemists searched for the mythical philosopher's stone, a substance that could turn lead into gold. They were looking outside of themselves. The true philosopher's stone is, and has always been, a grateful heart. This transformative power of gratitude is not just a poetic idea. It is rooted in the very mechanics of your being, both neurologically and energetically. Your brain, as a magnificent survival tool, has evolved with what is known as a negativity bias. It is biologically hardwired to scan your environment for threats, for problems, for what is wrong. This was essential for keeping your ancestors alive in a dangerous world. In our modern world, however, this same mechanism becomes the engine of chronic anxiety, constantly scanning for potential social threats, financial problems, and health scares. A conscious gratitude practice is a direct intervention in this faulty programming. It is the act of deliberately training your brain to do the opposite. When you make it a daily practice to scan your experience for things to be thankful for, you are literally carving new neural pathways. You are weakening the well-worn automatic highways of worry and building new, resilient pathways of appreciation. You are telling your brain, the hunt for threats is no longer the priority. The new priority is the hunt for beauty, for kindness, for grace. On an energetic level, the effect is even more profound. As we have explored, every emotional state has a vibrational frequency. The states of anxiety, fear, and scarcity are low, contracted frequencies. They broadcast the signal of lack into the universe, lack of safety, a lack of love, a lack of resources. Gratitude is one of the highest and most coherent frequencies you can embody. It is the energetic signature of abundance. The feeling of genuine gratitude sends out the powerful resonant signal of, I have enough, I am cared for, I am blessed. By the immutable law of resonance, the universe can only mirror this frequency by sending you more experiences that confirm it. Gratitude is the ultimate state of allowing and receiving. It is a declaration of trust in the fundamental generosity of life. When you are in a state of gratitude, you are in perfect alignment with the creative forces of the universe. It is the frequency that dissolves resistance and opens the door to synchronicity, to grace, to miracles. It is one thing to feel grateful for the obvious gifts in your life, a sunny day, a loving family, good health. This is a beautiful and necessary practice. But the true alchemy, the work that turns lead into gold, is learning to find a thread of gratitude within the difficult, painful, and unwanted experiences of your life. This is not the practice of toxic positivity. It is not about pretending you are happy that you lost your job, or became ill, or suffered a heartbreak. That is a form of denial. The alchemy lies in shifting your perspective to find the hidden gift, the unexpected lesson, the pearl of wisdom concealed within the grit of the experience. It is the practice of saying, I am not grateful for this painful illness, but I am profoundly grateful for the way it has forced me to slow down and listen to my body for the first time in my life. It is the courage to say, I am not grateful for this devastating betrayal, but I am grateful for the unbreakable self-reliance and inner strength I discovered in its aftermath. It is the wisdom to say, I am not grateful for the years I spent lost in anxiety, but I am deeply grateful that the journey through that darkness led me to this path of self-discovery and inner peace. This is the alchemist's great work. You are not changing the facts of your past. You are changing your relationship to them. You are transmuting the leaden weight of your old wounds and regrets into the shining gold of your unique story, your personal kintsugi. You are taking the very things you believed had broken you and realizing they are the events that have made you. This practice heals your past and reclaims its power, transforming a story of victimhood into an epic of resilience. To bring this alchemy into your daily life, the practice can be simple yet profound. Each night before you sleep, commit to finding 3 new, specific things for which you are grateful. Specificity is key. The mind can easily become lazy with generalities like, I'm grateful for my family. This does not train the brain. Instead, go deeper. I am grateful for the specific way my daughter laughed at breakfast this morning. I am grateful for the 5 minutes of silence I found during my lunch break and the feeling of the sun on my face. I am grateful for the difficult conversation I had today because it allowed me to speak my truth. By searching for specific new examples each day, you are forcing your mind to become a detective of the good, a hunter of gold. Once you have identified your 3 things, do not simply list them. Hold each one in your mind, replay the moment, and then allow the genuine feeling of gratitude to well up inside your body. Feel it as a physical sensation. Perhaps it is a warmth in your chest, a softening of your stomach, a smile that forms on your lips. This is the vibrational component. This is you, consciously tuning your broadcast to the frequency of abundance and grace. This practice, done consistently, will begin to change you at a cellular level. You will start to move through your world with the alchemist's lens as your default setting, naturally finding the gold in every situation. You will find yourself less reactive, more peaceful, and filled with a quiet, unshakable trust in the goodness of life, even when it is challenging. This deep sense of trust is the ultimate fruit of a gratitude practice. You begin to understand that the universe is not a hostile force to be feared and controlled, but a wise and intelligent partner in your evolution. You realize that even the events that seem negative or painful may be part of a larger plan, a necessary detour on your path, a loving redirection from a dead end. This newfound trust in the benevolent flow of life prepares you for one of the most advanced and liberating spiritual practices of all. It prepares you to loosen your white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel of your life. It teaches you that sometimes the greatest act of power is not in striving, controlling, or holding on, but in the graceful, courageous, and profound act of letting go. You are now ready to learn that surrender is not defeat. You are now standing in the fertile ground of your own consciousness, a master gardener learning to cultivate peace and a student of gratitude, learning to see the gold in all of life's experiences. As you practice this art of appreciation, you will find a new quality emerging within you, a quiet sense of trust. A trust that even when things do not go according to your plan, there is a deeper intelligence at work. This trust is the fertile soil from which one of the most misunderstood and powerful spiritual virtues can grow. We must now speak of surrender. In our culture, this word is heavy with negative connotations. It brings to mind images of defeat, of raising a white flag, of giving up in the face of a superior enemy. We are taught to fight, to strive, to persevere at all costs, to never, ever give up. To surrender is to be weak. We must now completely dismantle this flawed understanding. For in the context of your inner journey, surrender is not an act of weakness. It is your ultimate act of strength, wisdom, and courage. To understand what surrender is, we must first become intimately familiar with its opposite, resistance. Resistance is the default state of the anxious ego. It is the constant, subtle, and exhausting friction created by your mind's judgment that reality is somehow wrong. You wake up in the morning, and it is raining. You had planned a sunny day. The internal monologue begins, "I hate the rain. This is going to ruin my day. It shouldn't be raining." This is resistance. You are stuck in traffic, and you are going to be late. The anger rises. The tension builds in your shoulders. This is ridiculous. These people don't know how to drive. My day is ruined. This is resistance. Someone criticizes you, and you spend the next 3 days replaying their words, defending yourself in your mind. This is resistance. You feel a wave of sadness, and your immediate reaction is, "I don't want to feel this. I need to get rid of this feeling." This is resistance. Your entire life, your ego has appointed itself the grand manager of the universe, and it is constantly stressed and agitated because the universe refuses to follow its plans. This state of constant, low-grade warfare against the present moment is the primary source of your anxiety. It is like trying to swim upstream against a powerful river. It is a futile struggle that drains your life force and creates nothing but stress. Spiritual surrender is the wise and courageous decision to stop swimming against the current. It is not drowning. It is the realization that the river has a wisdom of its own and that fighting it is madness. Imagine you are a swimmer at the beach, and you find yourself caught in a powerful riptide that is pulling you out to sea. Your instinct, born of panic, is to fight it with all your might, to swim directly against its pull, back towards the shore. But anyone who understands the ocean will tell you that this is the most dangerous thing you can do. You will exhaust your energy fighting a force far greater than yourself, and you will drown. This is the path of resistance. The wise path, the path of surrender, is entirely counterintuitive. You are taught to relax your body, to stop fighting, to allow the riptide to carry you. You surrender to its power, trusting that its current will eventually dissipate just beyond the breakers. Once you are free from its pull, you can then swim parallel to the shore and make your way back to safety with ease. Surrender, in this context, is not giving up. It is a supremely intelligent act of cooperation with a powerful force, an act that saves your life. Your life is this ocean. The uncontrollable events and feelings are the riptides. Your anxiety is the panic that tells you to fight. Your wisdom is the voice that whispers, "Relax, let go, trust the flow." Oh, the question naturally arises, if we are surrendering, what are we surrendering to? You are not surrendering to defeat or to chaos. You are surrendering the limited, fear-based, and often neurotic plans of your personal ego mind to the infinitely vast intelligence of life itself. Call it the universe, God, the Tao, consciousness, the source. The name is irrelevant. It is the unseen intelligence that choreographs the dance of the galaxies, that unfurls the fern frond, that beats your heart and breathes your lungs without any conscious effort from you. Surrender is the humble and liberating acknowledgement that this vast intelligence might have a better, more expansive, and more beautiful plan for you than the one your tiny, fearful ego has cooked up. It is the shift from a life of frantic control to a life of profound trust. It is you, the small wave, finally remembering that you are not separate from the ocean. You are the ocean, expressing itself for a little while as a wave. To surrender is to let the wisdom of the ocean guide you, instead of the panic of the wave. This does not mean you become a passive doormat. It does not mean you don't set goals or take action. A surrendered person still rows the boat, but they have stopped trying to control the wind and the tides. They have learned to skillfully use the winds and tides to help them reach their destination. In your daily life, this looks like a radical acceptance of the present moment, whatever it holds. When you are stuck in traffic, you recognize that fuming with resistance will not move the cars any faster. You surrender to the reality that, for this moment, I am in traffic. In that surrender, a space opens up. You might use the time to breathe, to listen to this audiobook, to feel gratitude for your car. you have transformed a moment of stress into a moment of peace. When a carefully laid plan falls apart, the path of resistance leads to despair and anger. The path of surrender asks a different question. This door has closed. What other door is life trying to open for me now? It is an active and curious trust that even this unwanted event may be a necessary redirection. When a difficult emotion arises, surrender is the practice we have already learned. To allow the feeling to be there in your body, without resistance and without a story. You are surrendering to your own inner reality. Surrender is the ultimate act of courage, for it requires you to let go of your most cherished addiction, the addiction to being in control. It requires you to trust in the unseen, to have faith in a benevolent unfolding. But the more you practice it, the more you will experience its profound grace. You will notice that life begins to flow with a new sense of ease. Synchronicities will appear. The right people, the right opportunities, the right insights will arrive at the perfect moment without you having to struggle and force them into existence. You will begin to feel held and supported by a force much larger than yourself because for the first time you have stopped fighting it and allowed it to hold you. When you cease your resistance and surrender to the flow of the river of life, you will make the most startling discovery of all. You will realize that the river was never trying to drown you. The universe was never against you. You were the only one creating the struggle through your own resistance. As you learn to flow with this great current, you will see that it seems to mirror your own inner state with perfect, uncanny precision. You will discover that the world around you is nothing more and nothing less than a perfect reflection of the world within you. You are ready to truly understand that the universe is your mirror. You have practiced the quiet strength of surrender, learning to trust the great river of life instead of fighting its current. In this state of allowing, of non-resistance, your eyes begin to open to a profound and sometimes unsettling truth. You begin to notice a perfect, uncanny, and unfailing correlation between your inner world and your outer experience. You start to see that the universe is not a random collection of events happening to you. The universe is a perfect and flawless mirror, reflecting back to you the exact quality of your own consciousness. This is one of the most important and empowering realizations on the spiritual path. To truly grasp it is to move from a feeling of being a victim of circumstance to knowing you are the creator of your reality. Imagine you are standing in the center of a vast, circular hall of mirrors. Everywhere you turn, you are met with your own reflection. If you smile, 1,000 versions of you smile back. If you weep, the entire hall is filled with your sorrow. If you raise your fist in anger, an army of angry reflections rises to meet you. For most of your life, you have been living in this hall of mirrors, believing the reflections were other people, other entities, separate from you. And you have been trying to change your life by manipulating the reflections. You have run up to the angry reflection and pleaded with it to be calm. You have tried to physically force the mouth of the sad reflection into a smile. You have begged the critical reflection to offer you love. This is the story of human struggle. It is the exhausting, futile, and heartbreaking attempt to change the outer world without first changing the inner self. The great awakening we are moving toward is the simple, stunning realization that the only way to change the reflection in the mirror is to change the being who is casting the reflection. The work is never out there. It is always in here. The logical mind often struggles with this concept. But the world is objective, it argues. That difficult person at work is real. That unexpected bill is real. These things happen to me. The error lies in a misunderstanding of how we experience reality. You do not experience the world as it is. You experience the world as you are. Your beliefs, your core stories, and your dominant emotional frequency act as a powerful perceptual filter. Your brain is bombarded with billions of bits of information every second. It cannot possibly process it all. So it has a filtering system, and that system is programmed by your beliefs. If you hold the core belief that people cannot be trusted, Your brain will actively scan your environment and highlight every piece of evidence that confirms this belief. You will notice the shifty eyes of a stranger, the fine print in a contract, the slightly odd tone in a friend's voice. You will be completely blind to the countless acts of kindness, honesty, and generosity happening all around you, because your brain has been programmed to filter them out. The world has not changed. The reality you are allowed to perceive has. On a deeper level, this is not just about perception, but about resonance. As we have learned, you are a vibrational being. The universe is a field of infinite potential, a sea of every possible reality vibrating at once. Your dominant frequency, your state of being, acts like a tuning fork. It collapses the field of infinite potential into a single, specific, material reality that is a vibrational match for your inner state. This is why two people can live in the very same city, on the very same street, and experience completely different worlds. One, vibrating at the frequency of scarcity and fear, experiences a world of lack, competition, and danger. The other, vibrating at the frequency of gratitude and abundance, experiences a world of opportunity, connection, and support. They are not living in two different cities. They are living in two different realities, each a perfect mirror of their own consciousness. With this understanding, your entire life transforms from a series of random events into a perfectly intelligent feedback system. The world becomes your greatest teacher, your most honest diagnostic tool. Instead of blaming the mirror for the reflection it shows you, you can now learn to read it for information about your own inner state. Look at the recurring patterns in your life. Do you consistently find yourself in relationships with people who are critical or emotionally unavailable? The mirror is reflecting a belief you hold about your own worthiness of love. It is reflecting a story, likely learned in childhood, that says, "I must earn love," or "I am not worthy of unconditional acceptance." The other person is not the problem. They are the messenger, the reflection that is lovingly showing you the wound within yourself that is ready to be healed. Look at your financial reality. Do you experience a recurring pattern of lack, of just getting by, of money slipping through your fingers? The mirror of the world is reflecting a deep-seated belief you hold about abundance. Perhaps it is a story that money is the root of all evil, or people like me don't get to be wealthy, or life is a struggle. Until you change this inner blueprint, no amount of hard work or financial planning will be able to overcome the powerful magnetic pull of your own limiting belief. Look at the people and situations that consistently trigger a strong emotional reaction in you. The person who makes you feel uncontrollably angry is simply a mirror for the unexpressed anger that is already stored within your own body. The situation that makes you feel deep anxiety is a mirror for the unresolved fear that is part of your energetic signature. Instead of blaming the person for pushing the button, you can now thank the mirror for showing you where the button is. The trigger is a gift. It points directly to the unhealed part of you that is crying out for the golden lacquer of your compassionate attention. For years, we have engaged in the folly of trying to change the reflection. We try to change other people, to control them, to make them behave in a way that will finally make us feel loved and secure. We chase after external things, money, status, approval, believing that if we can just arrange the reflections in the right way, we will find peace. This is like trying to wipe a smudge off the reflection in the mirror when the smudge is on your own face. You can spend a lifetime wiping and polishing the mirror, but the smudge in the reflection will remain because you are working on the wrong thing. The only sane and effective course of action is to turn your attention away from the mirror and onto the source. All of the inner work we have been doing on this journey is the sacred art of cleaning the source. When you sit as the observer on the hill, you are noticing the smudge on your face for the first time. When you decode the language of your body, you are understanding the physical nature of the smudge. When you question your limiting stories, you are understanding where the smudge came from. When you embrace your own imperfection with the Kintsugi philosophy, you are learning to love yourself, smudge and all. When you plant a new garden and cultivate the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are proactively creating the new, clean, radiant face you wish to see reflected. This is the great work. You change yourself, and the reflection changes. Instantly, automatically. It is the law. Heal the inner wound of unworthiness, and the critical people in your life will either begin to treat you with a newfound respect, or they will simply drift out of your experience as they are no longer a vibrational match to your reality. Cultivate an inner state of abundance and gratitude, and opportunities and resources will begin to appear in places you never noticed before. This realization is the end of blame. It is the end of victimhood. It is the beginning of true responsibility, not as a heavy burden, but as a joyful reclamation of your divine power as the creator of your experience. The universe is not punishing you or rewarding you. It is simply, lovingly, and impartially reflecting you. It is a faithful mirror, always showing you the truth of your own consciousness, so that you may heal, so that you may learn, so that you may evolve. When you truly grasp this, you begin to understand the universe as a perfect system of cause and effect. Your inner world is the cause, your outer world is the effect. This leads us to a deeper contemplation of this universal law, not just in the material world, but in the subtle and powerful realm of our own emotional reality. We are now ready to explore the echo of karma. Having journeyed through the understanding that the universe is a perfect mirror, you now stand in a place of immense personal power. You have shifted from blaming the reflection to taking loving responsibility for the source. This naturally leads us to a deeper contemplation of one of the most profound and misunderstood laws of the universe, the law of karma. The word itself can evoke images of a cosmic ledger book, a celestial judge tallying your good and bad deeds to dispense rewards and punishments in a future life. This is a primitive, fear-based interpretation of a law that is as impersonal, as elegant, and as unfailing as the law of gravity. True karma is not about punishment or reward. It is simply the universe's law of cause and effect applied to the realm of energy, consciousness, and intention. It is the law of the echo. Imagine your consciousness is a vast and silent canyon. Every thought you think, every word you speak, and most importantly, every emotional frequency you broadcast is a shout into this canyon. The reality you experience, the circumstances of your life, the people you meet, the feelings that dominate your days, the perfect echo of your original shout, returning to you. For years, you may have been complaining about the quality of the echo. You may have felt frustrated by its harshness, frightened by its chaotic noise, or saddened by its melancholic tone. You may have even tried to argue with the echo, to correct it, to plead with it, to change its tune. But the law of the canyon is absolute. The echo can only be a reflection of the original sound. To change the echo, you must change the shout. This is the essence of karma. Let us explore this through the lens of your own inner world, the lens of anxiety. This is the realm of emotional karma, the subtle and powerful feedback loop that can keep us trapped for years. An event occurs in your life. This is a neutral stimulus. The event itself has no inherent meaning, but based on your past conditioning and your core stories, you react. You generate a familiar, anxious thought. This is a disaster. This thought is the initial shout into the canyon. Immediately, this shout generates a corresponding emotional frequency, the jarring, chaotic vibration of fear. This feeling is also part of the shout. Now, the law of the echo begins. This emotional reaction does several things simultaneously. First, it reinforces and deepens the neural pathway in your brain associated with that specific fear response, making it easier and more likely to react the same way in the future. Second, it sends a powerful signal to your body, which stores the unresolved energy of that fear as tension, as a knot in your stomach, as a tightness in your chest. Third, it broadcasts the low frequency of fear into the universal mirror, which must, by law, begin to arrange circumstances and perceptions that match that fear. You begin to notice more things to be afraid of. You attract situations that confirm your belief that life is unsafe. This new reality, this echo, then becomes the stimulus for your next reaction. And because the pattern has been strengthened, the next shout of fear is often quicker, more automatic, and more intense. The echo has become a new, louder shout. This is the karmic loop of anxiety. It is a self-perpetuating cycle where the effect becomes the next cause, gathering momentum with each revolution. This is why anxiety can feel so inescapable, like a prison you are building and reinforcing with your own reactions. How then do you break this chain? Where is the point of power in a seemingly closed loop? The point of power is always, only, and ever in the present moment. The shout you made 5 years ago, or even 5 seconds ago, has already left your lips. Its echo is now returning to you as the circumstances and feelings of this very moment. You cannot change the past shout. Your current emotional landscape is, in a very real sense, your past karma ripening. But you are not a prisoner of it. You are its heir. And in this present moment, you have a choice. When the echo of past fear returns to you as that familiar feeling of dread, that tightness in your chest, you are at a sacred crossroads. The old, unconscious path is to react to the echo of fear with a new shout of fear, thus perpetuating the cycle. But there is another path. This is the path of conscious, non-reactive awareness. This is where all of our previous work culminates. You feel the echo of fear arise in your body. Instead of identifying with it, you take your seat as the observer on the hill and you witness it. Instead of resisting it, you practice surrender and allow the physical sensations to be there without a story. Instead of feeding the fire with your attention, you starve it by pivoting to the anchor of your breath. In this single moment of choosing presence over panic, of choosing acceptance over resistance, you perform the most powerful act in the universe. You break the karmic chain. You have received the echo without creating a new, negative shout. You have allowed the old energy to finally be metabolized and released, without using it as fuel for a new fire. You have shouted a new word into the canyon. You have shouted peace. You have shouted acceptance. You have shouted stillness. And now, the echo that must by law return to you from this new shout will be one of greater peace, greater acceptance, and greater stillness. This reframes karma from a frightening destiny to a moment-by-moment practice of skillful living. You are the karmic creator in every second. With every conscious breath, you are creating the karma of peace. With every choice to question a limiting story, you are creating the karma of freedom. With every moment of gratitude you feel, you are creating the karma of abundance. You are no longer trying to clean up a messy past. You are focused only on creating a clean and beautiful present, knowing that the future is nothing more than the echo of the present you are creating right now. This is the ultimate reclamation of your power. You are not a pawn in a cosmic game. You are not a victim of fate. The story of your life is not written for you. It is written by you, through the quality of your own consciousness in each unfolding moment. Understanding this dissolves all blame, all resentment, all feelings of powerlessness. You see that your life is a perfect and just reflection of your own inner workings. This is not a burden, it is your liberation. It means that at any moment, you can choose to change your shout. You can choose to create a new cause. You are the sovereign of your own inner kingdom, the sole author of your own divine destiny. Realizing this power is one thing. Learning to wield it with the steadfastness of a true master is another. This requires a new kind of strength, a strength born not of force or aggression, but of deep, unshakable inner stillness. You have walked the path of the Creator, learning to understand the universe as your mirror and karma as the echo of your own consciousness. This journey culminates in the realization that you are not a victim of your life, but the source of it. This is the seat of all true power. But we must be careful with this word, power, for our understanding of it. much like our understanding of surrender, has been deeply distorted. We must now redefine the very nature of strength itself. We must learn to let go of the brittle strength of force and cultivate the unbreakable strength of stillness. For most of our lives, we have been chasing a counterfeit version of strength. The world has taught us that strength is about force, about pushing through, about being tough and invulnerable. It is the strength of the clenched jaw, the white-knuckled grip, the unwavering conviction that you must control every outcome. This is the ego's definition of strength. It is an aggressive, outward-moving energy that seeks to impose its will upon the world. And while it may serve us for a time, this kind of strength is incredibly brittle. It is like a dry, dead branch. It can resist a certain amount of pressure, but when the storms of life become too intense, when the illness comes, the heartbreak happens, the career collapses, this brittle strength inevitably snaps. The snap is what we call burnout, a nervous breakdown, a panic attack, or a deep depression. It is the inevitable collapse that comes from trying to hold the entire weight of the universe on our own shoulders. You have likely spent years trying to be this kind of strong, and it has only left you exhausted and feeling like a failure when you could not hold back the tide of life. There is another kind of strength, a deeper, more authentic, and truly invincible strength. It is not found in force, but in presence. It is not the strength of the raging storm, but the strength of the mountain that the storm assails. I invite you now to visualize a great, ancient mountain. See its vast, solid base, rooted deep in the core of the earth. Feel its immense weight, its silent, immovable presence. See its majestic peak, touching the heavens, serene and dignified. Now, imagine the weather of life swirling around this mountain. Imagine violent winds of change howling against its slopes. Imagine dark storm clouds of despair gathering around its peak, releasing torrents of grief. Imagine the sharp, hot bolts of anger and conflict striking its face. The mountain does not fight the storm. It does not try to push the wind away. It does not argue with the lightning or feel personally insulted by the rain. It does not resist. It simply is. It allows the weather to be exactly as it is, to rage and swirl upon its surface. Yet, the howling winds do not move its foundation. The dark clouds do not penetrate its solid granite core. The lightning flashes cannot scar its deep inner stillness. The storm is a temporary, noisy event happening on the mountain, but it does not touch the essential nature of the mountain. This is the strength we are here to cultivate. It is the strength of being. This mountain strength has several distinct qualities that we can learn to embody. First, it is deeply rooted. A mountain's power comes from its vast, invisible root system, its profound connection to the earth. Our strength comes from being similarly rooted in the anchor of our body and the reality of the present moment. The anxious mind is like a tumbleweed, weightless and blown about by every gust of fear. Mountain strength is the opposite. It is grounded. It is the conscious choice to inhabit your body fully, to feel your feet on the floor, and to know you belong to this earth. Second, the mountain has a solid, unmoving core. Deep inside, it is pure, silent granite. Our solid core is the silent, observing consciousness that we have discovered. It is the sky, it is the observer on the hill, it is the space between our thoughts. This is the part of you that is already, and has always been, completely whole, safe, and untouched by the chaos of your life story. To forge this new strength is to learn to shift your identification away from the fleeting weather of your thoughts and feelings, and to place it in the eternal, unchanging granite of your own awareness. You are not the storm, you are the mountain. Third, the mountain's strength lies in its profound allowing, its non-resistance. It does not waste a single ounce of energy fighting against what is. It allows the rain to be rain, the wind to be wind, and the sun to be sun. This is the practice of surrender embodied. To be strong like the mountain is to allow your feelings to be what they are, without taking them personally or needing them to change. It is to allow life's events to unfold without the constant, stressful friction of judging them as good or bad. This allowing is not passivity, it is a state of deep, energetic wisdom. It conserves your life force for what truly matters. Finally, the mountain embodies the virtues of patience and endurance. It is a symbol of timelessness. It has witnessed countless seasons, thousands of storms, endless cycles of day and night. It knows that all weather is temporary. This perspective teaches us that our own emotional storms or periods of intense anxiety, our seasons of grief are also impermanent. They will pass. Mountain strength is not in a hurry. It does not demand an instant solution. It has the quiet confidence to wait, to endure, knowing that the sun will inevitably shine again. It finds peace not in the absence of storms, but in the deep knowing of their transient nature. Let us take a moment to embody this strength. Sit comfortably, with your spine erect but not stiff. Close your eyes. Feel the points of contact between your body and the chair, the floor. Imagine roots growing down from the base of your spine, deep into the core of the earth, anchoring you. Now, begin to feel yourself as a great mountain. Feel the solidity of your posture, the weight and density of your being. Your legs and hips are the vast, solid base. Your torso is the mighty body of the mountain. Your shoulders and head are the majestic peak, touching the sky. Feel your own silent, immovable presence. Now, bring to mind a current worry, a source of anxiety in your life. Visualize this worry as a dark cloud swirling around your peak. See it. Feel its cool mist on your surface, but know that it cannot penetrate your solid, granite core. You are the mountain. The cloud is just weather. Breathe into this feeling of unshakable stillness, of profound presence. You are safe. You are strong. You are the mountain. This is the strength you are now forging within you. It is not the brittle strength of a bully, but the resilient strength of a sage. It is not built by lifting weights at a gym, but by lifting your consciousness in moments of stillness. It is the quiet, immense power that emerges when you cease all struggle, both internal and external, and learn to simply be. As you become more and more established in this mountain-like presence, you naturally begin to exude a new kind of authority. It is not the authority of a tyrant who must control everything. It is the quiet, dignified authority of a true sovereign who presides over their inner kingdom with unshakable peace. You are now ready to consciously take your seat on the throne of your own life. You have forged within yourself the strength of the mountain, a deep, quiet, and unshakable presence that is untouched by the passing storms of life. You have learned to root yourself in the earth of the present moment, and to identify not with the fleeting weather, but with the eternal granite core of your own being. This realization is the final key that unlocks the door to your own inner kingdom. It is time now to move beyond the practices of healing and into the art of living. It is time to consciously return to the throne of your own life and take your rightful place as the sovereign self. For most of your life, the throne room of your consciousness has been in a state of chaos. It has either sat vacant, leaving your inner kingdom without a ruler, prey to every passing fear and foreign influence, or it has been occupied by a frantic and illegitimate usurper. This usurper is the anxious ego, the voice of fear that convinced you it was the true king, ruling from a place of deep insecurity and a desperate need for control. This false king has mismanaged your entire kingdom. Its laws were the limiting stories of, "I am not enough," and "the world is unsafe." Its foreign policy was one of fear and defensiveness, seeing everyone and everything as a potential threat. Its royal decree was a constant, panicked chatter of, "What if?" Under its chaotic rule, the citizens of your kingdom, your precious emotions, were either suppressed into dungeons or allowed to run riot in the streets. The royal treasury, your priceless life force and attention, was squandered on pointless wars against reality and endless preparations for imagined disasters. The kingdom has been in a state of civil war for a very long time. The journey you have just undertaken has been a quiet and bloodless revolution to gently depose this fearful usurper and restore the true, benevolent sovereign to the throne. The deposal did not happen through violence or aggression. It happened through wisdom and awareness. You began the revolution when you first took your seat as the observer on the hill and realized that the frantic voice of the king was not actually you. You saw for the first time that the ruler was separate from the one who watches the ruler. This was the moment the usurper's authority began to crumble. You then staged a brilliant siege by learning to starve the anxious self. You methodically cut off the usurper's supply lines by withdrawing the fuel of your attention. Every time you refused to feed the fire of worry, you weakened the false king's hold on the kingdom. You undermined his propaganda machine by seeing through the tyranny of what if, recognizing its stories as empty fictions. You dismantled his legal system by questioning the validity of the old, limiting stories about your own unworthiness. With each conscious breath, with each moment of choosing presence over panic, you peacefully and methodically dismantled the entire infrastructure of the regime of fear. And now, the throne is empty. The usurper has faded into a powerless ghost, its voice no more than a faint whisper in the halls of your mind. It is time for the true sovereign to ascend. This is your coronation. But who is this true sovereign? It is not a new, improved, more confident ego. It is not another character or personality. The true sovereign self is the silent, aware, mountain-like presence you have discovered within. It is the vast, open sky of consciousness. It is the stillness between your thoughts. It is the watcher, the witness, the timeless I am that was there before your first thought and will be there after your last. To take your throne is simply to shift your primary identification from the noise of your mind to the silent presence that is aware of the noise. The throne itself is the present moment. The false king, the ego, can only live in the psychological time of past and future, the realms of regret and anxiety. It cannot survive in the vibrant reality of the now. To take your seat on the throne is to commit to living fully in the only moment that ever truly exists. Your scepter, the symbol of your power, is not a sword of force or control. It is the gentle, luminous scepter of your own awareness. You rule your kingdom not by forcing your emotions and thoughts into submission, but by illuminating them with the clear, non-judgmental light of your presence. The highest law in your new kingdom is unconditional acceptance. All citizens, all feelings of joy, grief, anger, and peace are welcome. They are all acknowledged, listened to, and allowed to exist without persecution. You realize that a kingdom where only positive emotions are permitted is not a peaceful kingdom. It is a tyrannical state living in denial. True peace comes from allowing the full spectrum of life to flow through your kingdom without resistance. And from this seat of present moment awareness, wielding the scepter of clear seeing, abiding by the law of acceptance, you can now make your royal decrees. These are your conscious choices. Instead of reacting automatically from a place of fear, you respond wisely from a place of peace. You consciously choose where to invest your attention, what beliefs to empower, and what actions to take that are in alignment with your deepest truth. What, then, are the daily duties of this wise and benevolent sovereign? Your day is no longer a reaction to 1,000 demands, but a conscious act of creation. Your morning begins not with checking your phone and immediately getting lost in the dramas of the world, but with a quiet morning address. This is your time to set the energetic tone for your kingdom for the day. It is the sacred practice of planting your garden, of tuning your vibrational frequency, of deciding from what state of being you will meet the day. You affirm your intention to rule from a place of peace, love, or gratitude. Throughout the day, you make time to receive the messengers. A wise ruler listens to their most trusted advisors, and your body is the wisest and most honest advisor you have. You regularly check in with the somatic mind, listening to the language of sensation. You honor its messages. You tend to its needs for rest and nourishment. and you trust its profound intuition. You also practice observing the populace. You do not get drawn into the squabbles and dramas of the marketplace, the endless chatter of your mind. From the high balcony of your observing presence, you watch the thoughts and feelings come and go with a detached and compassionate interest, knowing you are not defined by them. Crucially, you practice wise management of the royal treasury. You understand that your attention is your kingdom's most precious resource. It is the gold that funds every project. You no longer squander it on the phantom ghosts of the past or the imagined monsters of the future. You invest it wisely and deliberately in the reality of the present moment, in the people you love, in the work that gives you meaning, and in the beauty of the world around you. Your foreign policy, your way of interacting with the world, is transformed. You no longer see other people as potential threats to your kingdom or as sources of validation you desperately need. You recognize them as fellow sovereigns, each ruling their own inner kingdom, some wisely, some not. You interact with them from a place of wholeness, not of lack. Your presence becomes your offering to the world, and you see the universe not as a hostile territory, but as the great mirror, your partner in the dance of creation. This is your true identity. You are not the anxious, chattering, fearful usurper who has been running your life in a panic. You are the calm, silent, all-knowing sovereign at the center of your universe. This is not a role you have to grow into or a prize you will win at the end of your spiritual journey. It is a fact of your being that is true right now. The entire journey up to this point has not been about becoming something you are not. It has been about removing all the layers of conditioning and false identity that have obscured the magnificent truth of who you have always been. You are the king. You are the queen. The revolution is over. Your duty now is simply to inhabit your throne. As you become more and more established in this sovereign presence, a natural transformation occurs. The peace you have cultivated within your kingdom begins to shine beyond its borders. Your very state of being becomes a stabilizing and uplifting force in the world. Without trying, without preaching, without any effort at all, the light of your own regulated nervous system, the peace of your own quieted mind, becomes a beacon for those who are still lost in the storm. You are now ready to simply live as the lighthouse. You have returned to the throne of your inner kingdom. You have learned to rule not with the iron fist of control, but with the open hand of acceptance. You have discovered the unshakable strength of the mountain and the profound power of your own sovereign presence. The civil war within is over. Peace has been declared, but the journey does not end here. In the isolated stillness of your own castle, a kingdom that has found true peace does not build higher walls. Its light naturally begins to shine outward, becoming a beacon in a world that is still very much lost in a storm. Your final transformation is not one of achieving a new state, but of learning to live from the state you have reclaimed. You are now to move from being the sovereign of the kingdom to being the keeper of the lighthouse. Imagine your consciousness, your very being, is a great lighthouse standing on the solid rock of the shoreline. The world around you is a vast and often turbulent ocean. Upon this ocean, countless ships are sailing. Each ship is another soul, navigating their own journey. Some are sailing in calm waters, under clear skies, but many are caught in ferocious storms, tossed by the waves of their own anxiety, lost in the fog of their own confusion, heading for the jagged rocks of their own unhealed trauma. For a long time, you were one of those ships, lost in that same storm. But through your journey inward, you have found your way to shore. You have done the work of building your own foundation on solid ground. Your purpose now is not to forget the storm, but to serve those who are still in it. And the way you serve is completely different from what you might expect. The first impulse of a person who has found a little peace is often to become a frantic rescuer. You see your loved ones, your friends, the people of the world, all struggling in the waves, and your heart goes out to them. You want to jump in a lifeboat, race out into the storm, and save them. You want to shout instructions at them, to grab their steering wheels, to throw them a rope and physically drag them to your safe shore. This impulse, though born from compassion, is misguided. It is the final, subtle trick of the ego, which wants to turn your newfound peace into a new identity, the savior, the helper, the one who has all the answers. This path leads back to exhaustion. You will waste your own energy fighting the same waves that are tossing them about. You will become entangled in their storm, and most importantly, you will disrespect the sacredness of their own journey. They must learn to navigate their own ship, just as you did. You cannot learn their lessons for them. The path of the lighthouse is a path of profound trust and radical non-interference. The lighthouse does not have a lifeboat. It does not send out rescue swimmers. It does not scream warnings into the wind. It has only one function, one single, simple, and unwavering duty. It stays rooted to its rock. It tends to its own inner light, and it shines. Let us look at the anatomy of you as this lighthouse. Your foundation is the unshakable rock upon which you are built. This is the mountain strength you have forged. This is your sovereign presence. You are no longer built on the shifting sands of other people's opinions or the muddy ground of your own emotional whims. You are founded on the bedrock of pure, silent awareness. Your structure, the tall, resilient tower that can withstand any storm, is the embodiment of your daily practices. It is the strength you have built through meditation, through self-inquiry, through the conscious cultivation of gratitude and peace. It is your commitment to tending to your own inner world. The great lantern at the very top of the tower is your own inner light. It is the high, coherent frequency of your own consciousness, the peace that you have uncovered in the space between your thoughts. This light is not borrowed. It is not a reflection of someone else's truth. It is generated from within. It is the light of your own authentic being. And your primary duty as the keeper of the lighthouse is simply to tend to this light. Your job is to keep the lantern glass clean from the smudges of judgment and fear. It is to make sure the fuel of your spiritual practice is plentiful. It is to trim the wick of your ego so that the flame burns cleanly and without smoke. Your first and most important responsibility is to your own illumination. This is not a selfish act. It is the greatest act of service you could ever perform. A lighthouse with a dim or flickering light is of no use to anyone. Consider the law of the lighthouse. Its light shines impartially. It does not decide which ships are worthy of its guidance. It shines its light for the grand cruise ship and the humble fishing boat alike. It shines for the ship that is sailing skillfully, and for the ship that is heading straight for the rocks. In the same way, your peace, your presence, becomes a gift for everyone who enters your field. You do not decide who is deserving of your calm energy. It simply radiates from you, touching the angry boss, the cheerful barista, the distressed family member, all with the same impartial grace. The lighthouse does not give advice. It does not yell directions. It is a silent witness. It simply offers a fixed, reliable point of reference in the darkness. By its very existence, it says to all the ships, here is the shore, here is solid ground, here is a point of stability in the chaos. In the same way, you no longer feel the need to fix or advise everyone around you. You let go of the burden of having to have the answers for their lives. Instead, you become a living permission slip for peace. Your calm nervous system instinctively communicates safety to the agitated nervous systems around you. Your non-reactive presence in a conflict creates a space for others to find their own clarity. People will be drawn to your light, and they may ask you how you found it. And then you can share your story. But you do not chase them, you simply shine. The ultimate power of the lighthouse is in its steadfastness. It does not move. The waves crash against it, the winds howl, the fog rolls in, but it remains. It is this reliability that makes it so trustworthy. In a world of constant change and uncertainty, your commitment to your own inner stillness makes you a sanctuary for others. Your presence becomes a place of rest for the weary souls around you. They feel your mountain strength, and it reminds them of the mountain within themselves. They feel your peace, and it awakens them to the possibility of their own. This is your new purpose. It is a service of being, not a service of doing. You let go of the anxious need to change the world, and you embrace the sacred duty of simply being a light in the world. Your life becomes a walking meditation. Each conscious breath is a prayer. Your quiet, centered presence is your gift. You have completed the great journey from being the ship lost in the storm to becoming the very lighthouse that guides the ship's home. You have faced the darkness. You have navigated the treacherous waters of your own mind, and you have found your way back to the unshakable truth of who you are. All that is left now is to live this truth, to stand firm on your rock, to tend to your light, and to shine. And so we arrive, not at an end, but at a beginning. We have walked a long and winding path together, from the chaotic noise of the anxious mind to the deep, resonant silence of the sovereign self. We began as a ship lost in a storm, terrified of the waves, convinced we were about to be capsized and drowned in the vast, frightening ocean of our own feelings. We have journeyed through the darkness, not by fighting it, but by learning to see it as a teacher. The anxiety you once believed was your enemy was revealed to be a messenger. The limiting stories you thought were your reality were revealed to be a prison you could simply walk out of. The broken parts of you that you hid in shame were revealed to be the very places where the golden light of wisdom could enter. The storm was never sent to destroy you. It was sent to awaken you. It was sent to wash you clean of all the false identities you had taken on, to strip you of everything you were not, so you could finally remember everything you are. For so long, you have been seeking a safe harbor, a quiet port, where the waves could not reach you. The final truth of this journey is the great reversal. You are not the ship. You were never the ship. You are the ocean, the waves of thought, the currents of emotion, the storms of circumstance. They are not happening to you. They are happening within you. They are the temporary, surface expressions of your own vast, deep, and immeasurably peaceful being. You are the stillness that holds the storm. You are the silence that holds the noise. You are the consciousness that contains all of it, and you are, by your very nature, untouched and unharmed by any of it. Carry this knowing with you as you return to the world. Let it be the quiet hum beneath the business of your day. Let it be the anchor in your moments of challenge. When a wave of fear rises, when a cloud of doubt appears, you do not need to fight. You do not need to fix. You need only to remember. You can place a hand on your heart, take a single conscious breath, and whisper this truth to yourself. I am the sky that holds the cloud. The cloud cannot hold me. There is nothing more to learn. There is nothing more to do. There is nowhere else to go. The search is over. All that is left is to be. To live from this place of quiet knowing. To rest in the peace that is your own essential nature. Rest here now, in the stillness. You are, and have always been, home.